when he ended up in a dead wasteland world where survivors hide from mutated beasts. And the only rain is acid, he arrived as a hunted stowaway, just one bad day from being beaten to death, then a God-Tier Tamer System bound to him, giving him the power of evolution, the ability to tame any creature and push it past its limits. Forever, he took a small turtle, evolving it into Honu, a god beast the size of a continent that carries his entire house on its back, the man with no home now rides his own moving world. If you want more like this, leave a like and subscribe to help out with the algorithm. To get to this point, he had to start from nothing. Let us look back at that first morning. He still could not fathom how something as bizarre as transmigration had happened to him, but 5 days of lying low in a leaky wooden shed let him piece together where he was. This world is far larger than Earth and already a complete ruin. Civilization is clawed down to the edge of extinction. Barren land stretches for miles. Rain is almost non-existent and pure acid when it falls. Dust hangs over everything while sunlight only reaches the ground in stray, grudging shafts. If this is the heavens handing him a second chance, they have a pretty twisted sense of humor. He flexes his arms and finds the soreness gone. His body is back after 5 days, maybe stronger. Before, back on Earth, he was an orphan who could not afford university, so he joined the army, serving 5 years in the elite special forces until old, nagging injuries forced him out. He scraped by filming wilderness survival. Instead, an earthquake split the ground open right under him, and he was certain that was the end, no way out. Then he woke up in the wasteland with every muscle screaming, completely paralyzed. A girl disguised as a boy found him. She thought he was dead, began searching his body, but instead of leaving him, she dragged him back to her camp and hid him. Her name is Mina, and the wooden shed he is hiding in belongs to her. He is a stowaway, which in this place is a death sentence here. Mina told him that when the camp catches any stowaway, meaning the lucky ones are worked to death, while the unlucky ones are simply beaten to death. Neither outcome is on his bucket list. Easing open a crack in the shed door, he peers out into the dusk, seeing land stretching dead and brown without a hint of green. So this is real wilderness survival after all. He lets the thought settle once, then drops it. A faint snap of a small wooden stick reaches him, and he is instantly back in the present moment, cautiously easing the door open to look. A thin, dirty figure is sneaking toward the shed with her head tucked down, and his body unclenches the moment he recognizes her. Mina. She slips inside, quickly shutting the door behind her, then turns and nearly jumps out of her skin when she finds him standing right in front of her. She gasps and asks what he is doing lurking by the door without making a sound. He steps back, sits by the wall, and asks how her harvest went. She lights up at once, telling him the traps he taught her to build are working beautifully, catching several times more than usual lizards than she ever used to. In 5 days, he still has not let on that he knows she is a girl under all that grime. She grins and tells him to wait, that this is going to surprise him, then pulls out her crossbody cloth bag and produces a small brown lizard the length of 2 fingers, followed by 7 more lined up neatly right in front of him. He glances at the raw cuts on her fingers and asks how many stone press traps she set today. Only 22, she admits, pouting that there wasn't enough time, but promises over 30 tomorrow. He calmly tells her not to set too many, since being noticed is the absolute last thing she needs. That reminder sobers her instantly. She bites her lip, fretting that with tax collection just 3 days away, if she cannot lay more traps, she will never gather his share. He asks how much more he owes, since in 5 days he has learned the camp rules pretty well. To survive here, you pay taxes, and basically anything edible counts, counting the lizards she just brought in. She sighs that they are still short about 30, her head dropping. Over these past 5 days, she went from weary to completely dependent. At first, he simply traded survival gear for a quiet place to sleep in her shelter, but last night, when he taught her to rig those stone press traps, she really started leaning on him. She began. He thinks, remembering what it feels like to actually have someone looking after her. He asks her flatly whether her own share of the tax is even covered, since paying his will be absolutely no trouble once he is moving freely again. He won't be hunting finger-sized lizards for long. She whispers that she already paid 35 small lizards, so she only needs 5 more herself. He tells her not to worry, that if his tax falls short, he will simply leave. Her head snaps up, staring at him, utterly stricken, opening her mouth to argue but finding no words. He tells her He is simply fully recovered, his fist closing as he says it. She insists there are still 3 days left and she can absolutely gather enough before he can even answer. She is digging through a pile of broken stones, hauling out a small wooden box. She wants to keep him so badly, you can see it written all over her face. Opening the box, she lifts out 8 strips of dried lizard meat, saying if they add these, it will surely be enough. He tells her to put them away since those are her emergency rations, and something inside him softens despite himself, but he quickly hardens his voice again. It reminds her that he is an adult, and an adult's tax is completely different. She trembles, whispering shakily that there must be some other way. She has clearly forced herself to forget the rules, wanting nothing more than to keep him here, and secretly lay enough traps to collect 50 lizards on her own. He tilts his head and asks if she has forgotten what she told him on their very first day, back when she thought he was a corpse and was searching him. He startled her by speaking. That shock made their whole transaction pretty easy, since she was far too naive to be difficult. He had traded her his military knife, his water bottle, and a few other things for shelter and absolute silence. That very day, she told him plainly this was just a transaction. The moment he recovered, he was supposed to leave. Her face flushes instantly and she scrambles to find an explanation but cannot. She turns around without a word and pulls his camouflage backpack out from under the wooden bed, carrying it over and setting it down right in front of him, swearing she hasn't touched a thing. Pressing her lips together, her eyes timid and pleading, she offers to give everything back if he will only stay. He doesn't even glance at the pack, asking her, genuinely confused, why she wants him to stay after only 5 short days, and whether she isn't afraid he might be a dangerous man, since he isn't even asking for his gear back. He simply wants to understand what changed her mind. Lowering her head, she twists the hem of her shirt with one small hand, admitting she doesn't know, only that hearing he will leave makes her feel awful, the same way it felt 4 years ago. Her older sister left to pay taxes. Mina was too small back then to have a choice, and she definitely doesn't want to relive that crushing loneliness. Suddenly, her eyes go wide. She tells him to wait, claiming she has one more item that might cover his taxes, and starts rummaging frantically through the dusty shed before diving right under the wooden bed. A moment later, she cheers that she actually found it, and it is still alive. He leans forward, curious about what she found. She crawls out, cupping a palm-sized turtle in both hands like a rare treasure, and presents it to him. Turtle, he asks, surprised, reaching out to gently take the little creature that looks remarkably like a tiny tortoise. Suddenly, a strange voice echoes inside his head. In a flat, mechanical tone, it announces that a tameable creature has been detected, and get this, some legendary tamer system is actually binding to him. The binding hits 90%, then completes, unfolding a block of information in his mind. After reading, he finally understands. It is an intelligent system from a high-dimensional world made to train tamers. It got swept up in space-time turbulence mid-delivery and merged with him during his own soul transmigration. Of course, an advanced high-dimensional tool can easily warp local reality. He takes it in stride, figuring out what this God-tier system does, while Mina watches him, completely oblivious. For now, the system's permissions are low, keeping its functions basic. It tames beasts and triggers their evolution. As the host, he can inherit one talent ability from every single tamed beast, with one new taming attempt daily. Meanwhile, evolving them requires evolution points, which are extracted from energy-rich items. Reading through this like a game manual, he asks if it can display his personal attributes. The system quickly responds that it is scanning the subject. Within a heartbeat, a holographic interface materializes right before his eyes. It lists him as a novice tamer, stamina 3, speed 2.6, strength 3.2, and spirit 2.7. His lifespan is 24 years out of 79. He has 10 daily taming points that can stack, but 0 evolution points, no abilities, and absolutely no tamed beasts. The system notes that a regular human's baseline is just 1. It doesn't even bother displaying the elite combat skills he earned as a special forces soldier. Bare bones, all of it. Still, his lips curve as he mutters that living to 79 is way more than he ever expected. Mina, missing his quiet words, sees him smile and assumes it means he is staying. She declares she's off to pay his taxes for him and begins packing in a frantic rush, too afraid of a rejection to wait. For an answer, she stuffs the 7 lizards back into the cloth bag, grabs 5 strips of dried meat from her box and leaves only 3 behind for food. Then she looks reluctantly at the turtle in his hand, explaining her sister gave it to her to eat shed bugs, adding that one single turtle trades for 10 small lizards. She does the math quietly, face brightening as she figures 3 days of extra traps will cover both their taxes. He shakes his head, saying the turtle must stay. She blinks, completely stunned, her face losing color as she asks him softly if that means he still won't stay. He evades the question, simply asking if she can let him keep the little turtle instead. She stares at him, dazed, then looks relieved he didn't confirm he is leaving. She waves a generous little hand, declaring the turtle is now his. Setting the cloth bag down, she tilts her head and mutters that without the turtle, she is short 43 lizards, wondering how she really needs to set traps farther out. He watches her clumsily scratch a map into the dirt, plotting where to catch more. He smiles, feeling that warmth rise again. This creature is something else. In his mind, he orders the system to tame it. It detects a level 0 life form. The tortoise begins taming, then reports it has consumed all 10 taming points and succeeded. White light spills off the turtle in his hand and it begins to swell, so he quickly sets it down on the ground. He pulls a bewildered Mina back 2 or 3 steps, telling her to clear some space. She glances wearily at the shed door, asking what is wrong, but the growing, faintly glowing turtle draws her eye, and she gasps, asking how it is getting bigger. Her face changes as some terrible thought hits her. What if it is turning into a fierce beast? She immediately yanks the bone spike from her waist, ready to lunge and stab the turtle dead. He grabs her arm, telling her to hold still. It is fine. Honestly, it would be pretty annoying to have his first tamed beast skewered by a panicking girl. She begs him to kill it, quickly certain that if it becomes a fierce beast, they will all die because she has seen what rampaging beasts can do. Even the memory terrifies her. He reassures her that the turtle is already tamed, his now, and the change has finished. From a palm-sized thing, it has grown to over a meter in both length and width. Its once cute head is gone fierce, its dark brown shell ridged and uneven, as if it carries a slab of rock on its back. The system pings that his level 0 land turtle has evolved into a rock armor turtle at level 1. Mina blinks and asks, cautious, whether it really won't bite people. Of course not, he tells her, promising to show her. He raises a hand and beckons the rock armor turtle, pushing the intention through their new bond. From the moment he tamed it, a mental link opened between them, and he can feel the creature radiating warmth toward him. It crawls over, stretches out its head, and rubs against his palm, narrowing its eyes in plain affection. Its head is rough as stone under his hand. He gestures to her. See, he was not lying. She covers her mouth, eyes huge, asking how he did that. He tells her lightly that an awakener can do this kind of thing. In a wasteland like this, mutated plants and animals are lumped together as fierce beasts, and humans have mutated too, just less drastically, into 3 kinds. Awakeners appear 1 in 10,000 and carry all sorts of abilities. Mutants appear 1 in 1,000, their strength set by their particular talent. Enhancers build themselves up by external means and make up the mainstream power system. All of this he learned from Mina over these 5 days. She stares blankly, the news too big to swallow, and asks if he really is an awakener. He nods, telling her his awakened ability is taming animals. The truth that he can tame creatures will surface sooner or later, and honestly, this is the smartest lie he can feed her. Cover. She recovers in a rush, grabs his arm, and stutters that he is too amazing. She simply can't find the words. Her sister once told her that their camp has no awakeners at all, only a few enhancers and mutants. He tells her with a quiet laugh to keep her voice down so no one hears. She agrees in a flurry, clapping a hand over her mouth, swearing she won't expose his identity. Then she goes quiet, sinking into a new worry that an awakener like him will surely never stay in this small camp. He notices the silence but leaves her to it. In his he asks the system if he can truly inherit a tamed beast's special abilities. It offers him the rock armor turtle's talent, Earth Rock Thrust, and he accepts. As he orders the inheritance, the system begins refining and adapting the brand new ability. The process completes, bringing a cool, comfortable sensation deep into his brain. Warm currents run through his entire body as the raw power settles in. Checking his status screen, his stamina is now 6, and speed is 4.3. Strength is 5, spirit hits 8.7, and his lifespan reaches 100. Both taming and evolution points are at 0, but he now holds a unique skill. He has level 1 Earth Rock Thrust, and his tamed beast is the Rock Armor Turtle. The beast is also level 1, sharing the exact same Earth Rock Thrust ability. He sits there completely stunned, every single attribute just climbed. A full century of life from one inheritance, if his turtle keeps growing. Its evolution could stretch his life to 10,000 years. With daily taming point refreshes, every inherited talent will keep pushing his limits higher. The math is delicious, though the system panel gives no description. So he decides to test it himself, focusing his will to activate the ability. Instantly, the ground a few meters away bulges and spits up sharp, palm-length stone spikes. The rock armor turtle tilts its head, staring with emerald eyes in total confusion. It is decent power, he notes, as a surprise strike right under an enemy's feet. It could easily pin someone down, and once a target is on the ground, a second thrust would easily finish the job, his old military instincts taking over. He is already mapping out the most lethal ways to weaponize this power. It burns stamina and mental energy, meaning he can fire it about 6 times. Realistically, he should limit it to 3 shots and save the rest for emergencies. With his strategy set, he turns to the real problem, finding energy-bearing items. Because let's be honest, those items are the absolute key to strengthening his pet. His first major goal is set: evolve the little turtle into the legendary black tortoise. Mina suddenly looks up, asking why he fainted if he is really an awaking warrior. He feeds her his prepared cover story about being bitten by a poisonous beast. No way, there is absolutely no way he is telling anyone he transmigrated. Then, with her mood visibly sinking, she asks if he will leave once healed. Since he keeps dodging the question, she quickly figures out the painful truth herself. He confirms her fears with a quiet nod. Yes, he is definitely going to leave. He always knew he would have to venture out to tame beasts and gather resources. Mina bites her lip and asks bitterly when, so he tells her, in 2 days. Since his upgraded body has fully recovered, there is no real reason to stay. His only goal left is searching the camp for any items holding hidden energy. She desperately pleads, asking him to stay a few more days while fighting back tears. Gently, he reminds her that taxes are due in 3 days, wiping charcoal from her cheek. That dark ash is her disguise to pass off as a boy. Her body is lost in oversized gray rags as she tightly grips his hand. She desperately promises she will catch lizards for him, begging him to believe her. He looks down and asks gently if she would be willing to come with him. She starts to answer but freezes, remembering her older sister's final, parting words. She was told to stay put and wait, but he tells her she doesn't have to. He didn't force her to decide immediately, giving her 2 days to think. After all, 5 days is barely enough time to ask a girl to leave her only home and travel with it. Stranger, she nods, her small face scrunched tight, her heart in a total tangle. Should she go with him or stay and wait for her sister? One wrong turn means they might never meet again. It is an agonizing choice. At dawn, Mina wakes up staring blankly at the wooden roof. Having stayed awake almost all night, tossing and turning the same impossible question before. Finally drifting off just a few hours ago, suddenly her nose wrinkles at the smell of meat and she turns to see charcoal still glowing in the fire pit beneath an iron pot hanging. From a wooden frame, he tells her she is awake just in time to eat, stirring the bubbling pot with a spoon. She stares, completely caught off guard because she has always been the one preparing breakfast. She asks hesitantly if his injured body has fully recovered. Yes, he replies. Breakfast consists of dry compressed biscuits served with boiled lizard meat. Looking dark and ugly, but plenty to fill an empty stomach, those biscuits are among the few rare items he brought over from Earth through the fissure. She sits by the fire while he scoops a portion into an iron lunchbox and hands it to her, since traveling far requires packing rations, and only a handful of those biscuits remain. She recognizes the lunchbox from his backpack, remembering that 5 days ago she desperately wanted to trade it for taxes, but just couldn't bring herself to. Her mood is low, and he doesn't try to force a cheerful conversation. He scoops lizard porridge onto her tray and eats in silence. She presses her lips tight, stealing quiet glances at his profile, completely unable to find a topic. Nearby, the rock-armored turtle scrapes the dry ground, its bright emerald eyes locked onto him. Mina quickly seizes the moment, asking what they will do with the turtle. It comes with us, he tells her, since he is not leaving a level 1 beast in the camp just to be butchered for food. Besides, out in the wild it can easily hunt for itself. She nods and silence settles back in. After eating, they gather every useful item from her shed to prevent thieves. And slip away. Her home is barely a shed, cobbled together from animal hides and dead wood at the outer edge of the camp. This makes it perfect for leaving completely unseen. The rock armored turtle moves no faster than a walking pace, but its bumpy shell looks exactly like a dusty brown rock, perfect cover. The two travelers and their slow companion head north. She knows a jagged hill region is crawling with wild lizards along their trek. Every figure they spot along the trail gives them a very wide berth, afraid of getting their meals stolen. In a brutal, backstabbing world like this, you can never be too careful. That is only sensible. The hills are close, and they quickly reach the base of the nearest one. He crouches down, pats the rock-armored turtle, and tells it to go search for its own food. He has named it Hyen Mu, placing a small bit of hope into name. It nudges his palm, chooses a direction, and crawls off. Mina immediately worries loud that it will get lost, but he smiles and reassures her that Hyen Mu and he share a deep mental bond. All of his tamed beasts can communicate with him through their minds. She lets out a sigh of relief and points ahead toward her traps at the bottom of the hills. He tells her to inspect them while he scouts the area, since he wants bigger game than small lizards, which barely offer enough meat to satisfy an appetite. She agrees softly, warning him to call out if anything goes wrong. He then heads off in the opposite direction from Hyen Mu. Behind him, she sighs softly, asking herself why she is feeling so anxious today, before slapping her cheeks to gather her courage. He pauses mid-step, then strides on. His sharpened senses caught her sigh clearly. Girls easily turn sentimental when long loneliness is suddenly broken by company. Clinging even harder, but he won't offer comfort, because if she does not join him in the end, gentleness now will only deepen the wound. Truly desolate, this place is no better than a bare gravel waste. He treads lightly, eyes raking the ground, wondering how locals survive here so long. Suddenly, a whisper of sliding sand snaps his attention to a nearby rock wall. Scanning carefully, he spots the cause, a small lizard climbing the stone. He can't let it escape. Drawing the military knife from his waist, he drives it straight through the lizard's head, killing it instantly. Suddenly, another appears on the wall, scrambling upward fast. A color-changing lizard, he thinks, freezing for less than a second before his hand snaps down. He misses on the first try, but pins it on the second attempt. It is twice the size of the others, with bizarre skin patterned in red, green, and blue. The system pings that a tameable beast has been detected and asks whether he wishes to tame it. That color-shifting trick looks highly useful, and his daily taming points have refreshed after midnight. Resetting him to 10 so he can tame a second beast, he gives the command. The system detects a level 0 color-changing lizard, runs the taming process, consumes 10 points and succeeds. The lizard glows white, stopping its struggle, and shaking its claws in pure contentment. 3 seconds later, it shrinks down to palm size, its scales striped in clean bands of green, red, and blue. The system asks if he wishes to inherit its innate ability, mimicry camouflage. He nods and commands the inheritance. A cool touch crosses his skin, and a warm current stirs inside him, so subtle he would miss it without close attention. He opens his attribute panel: stamina 6.2, speed 4.5, strength 5.1, spirit 9, lifespan 24 out of 100, with earth rock thrust and mimicry camouflage both at level 1. His tamed beasts are the rock armor turtle with earth rock thrust and the 3-colored lizard with mimicry camouflage. The 4-dimensional gains were pretty tiny this time, so the lizard's real value must be the camouflage itself. He activates mimicry camouflage, and a cool sweep crosses his skin again as the light around him bends. The whole process takes about a second, and he glances down to find his clothes, shoulders, and back have taken on the earthy yellows and browns of the rock wall. He holds still to test for a time limit: 10 seconds, a minute, 10 minutes, half an hour. Nothing breaks it. Then he moves his limbs and watches the camouflage dissolve, his true colors bleeding back. So that is how it works. The change is simple light refraction, and the moment his body moves, the ability fails. He understands both its strength and its weakness now, and his lips curve as he admits it's a terrifying tool for assassination or stealth. He sets the lizard down and tells it to hide around him, since a level 13 colored lizard is weak, mostly riding along like a pet for now. It looks up, scurrying onto the rock wall, and trails him at a steady distance, vanishing whenever it stops moving. If it ever develops an offensive talent, he thinks with a grin, he will have built himself a legendary assassin lizard. he pulls the knife from the wall, pocketing the dead lizard and keeps hunting, turning up nothing for over 2 hours. And plenty of lizards, plus a few poisonous scorpions and insects he won't touch. Eat unless he gets truly desperate. Soon he spots a cluster of dark caves, with tracks at their entrances, and decides to send his 3-colored lizard inside. He wants to flush them out, but sudden footsteps reach his sharp ears. They are closing fast, heading straight for him. Instantly, his training kicks in. He presses against the cold rock and activates his mimicry camouflage to vanish. Within a minute, a very familiar figure comes sprinting into view. It is clearly Mina, but she now has long blue rabbit ears on her head. Right behind her, 4 extremely angry pursuers charge into sight carrying weapons. They wave bone knives and wooden spears, screaming at her to stop running. Stealing their prey means death, and they swear she cannot escape. Mina yells back over her shoulder, completely furious, demanding to know something. Since when prey caught in her trap belonged to them, she has enough. Breath to curse while running, meaning she is far from exhausted, he lets her sprint past his hiding spot, letting the first 3 chasers go untouched. But as the 4th runner draws level, he reaches out, grabs his chin, and uses the man's momentum to slam his head down. A soft snap echoes. His mouth covered before he can scream. Dead in 2 seconds, he moves. After the next 3 before they notice, the same method drops another target. The remaining 2 do not hear their allies fall, but the quiet finally alerts them. They stop dead, whipping their heads around in a panic, gripping their weapons and demanding to know who he is and what happened. He stops 4 meters away, completely silent. Mina hears the sudden commotion and spins around. Her mouth drops open to see him standing right behind her pursuers. She had circled all the way back into his path. In a panic, she screams at him to run. The enemy sneers. Assuming they are accomplices, they relax, realizing he is not a dangerous hunter. The leader loudly barks to kill him first and immediately charges forward. Thrusting a sharp spear at his chest, he sidesteps, closing the distance, and drives an elbow straight into the attacker's sternum. Bones shatter loudly. As the man flies backward, coughing blood, his body is already 3 times stronger than normal, and his turtle skill nearly doubles that force. No contest here, even a fraction of his power is too much for them. The remaining scout gasps that he is an enhancer, his face turning completely pale. His blade hangs frozen, unsure whether to fight or flee. Mina yells at him to move and immediately steps in, kicking the guy hard. Knocking him flat, the scout looks over at his bleeding partner. An absolute terror takes over. He stammers that they cannot kill him because he belongs to Bloodbeard, praying the name will save his life. He asks, completely expressionless, who this Bloodbeard is. Mina's dirty face turns dead serious. As she explains, he is a brutal bandit leader, active in this area. He raids camps and ambushes innocent travelers, seeing them both go quiet. The scout immediately turns arrogant, warning that when his boss attacks their camp, everyone will die. Usually, dropping that name is enough to make people back off in fear. Wait, he says, his eyes narrowing. Did you just say attack the camp? The bandit realizes his slip instantly, his face turning pale. He frantically stammers that he never said that, but our guy just stares him down. You 4 are scouts, he says coldly, and the bandit shakes his head in absolute panic. They only came out to hunt, begging because if Bloodbeard ever found out, he'd be dead. Dragged behind a mount until he died, listening quietly, our guy picks up a bone knife from the dirt. He presses the blade right under the scout's chin and calmly makes it clear. He will ask only once, and if the answer is bad, the blade goes straight through his skull. When are you attacking the camp? The pure terror in the bandit's eyes says it all. He knows our guy isn't joking. The moment the blade presses in, he completely breaks. He promises to tell everything, sobbing that he doesn't know the exact day. Bloodbeard only ordered them to scout the area first, but our guy presses for more. Leaning in with a cold stare, he forces the scout to reveal their basic rule of thumb. A raid like this always happens within 3 days of the scouting mission. He asks a few more questions, and just as the bandit lets out a sigh of relief, he snaps the man's neck. Bloodbeard has set his sights on the camp and Mina. She grabs his arm, terrified, asking what to do. Our guy calmly asks about the population. Specifically, how many women, children, and elderly live there. Mina thinks for a second. Around 300, she says, with vulnerable folks making up nearly half the camp. Tell everyone to run, he advises, since they stand absolutely no chance against bandits. He already knows from the scout that Bloodbeard leads over 500 hardened fighters. A small, defenseless camp of 300 simply cannot survive an all-out assault like that. Flee where, she asks, looking completely blank, but that is not his problem to solve. He tells her to just warn the leader and let them figure it out. He crouches to search the dead scout while she worries the leader won't believe her. And honestly, she is totally right. An overlooked nobody warning about an attack is easily ignored. Warning them without an exact date sounds crazy, and doubts will grow by the day. Still, she bites her lip and insists that the camp is her home. She must try. Our guy cuts off her speech, telling her to leave the whole mess to him. He already has a plan to slip in and speak with the leader tonight. Thanks to his mimicry camouflage skill, sneaking in will be incredibly easy. Mina brightens up and asks if he really has a plan. He confirms it quietly. He finishes looting the scout's clothes, finding nothing but some dry meat. He moves on to the next bandit, who is barely breathing and coughing up blood. Mina leans closer, offering to help out. He looks at her for a moment. He asks if she wants to tag along with him, starting the day after tomorrow. She smiles and says yes. Since her camp is doomed, she has no reason to stay. He glances at the long, twitching ears on her head and asks what is up with them. Now it makes total sense why she always hid them under a wrapped scarf. She shyly tugs on them, admitting she is a mutant and those ears are her trait. When he asks about her abilities, she explains she can hear sounds from far away. She can also run faster and jump higher, classic rabbit-themed superpowers, he notes. That completely explains how a lone girl managed to survive out here for so long. She even dares to hunt 3 colored lizards on her own in this wasteland. She is definitely no helpless victim. Smiling, she bounces off to loot the other bodies. He sighs at how broke these guys are, finding nothing but scraps of meat. Her cheerful voice rings out, calling him over to check out a lucky find. She found a valuable beast crystal. Looking at his empty hands, he wonders, is this girl just naturally luckier? He walks over, taking the small, white prismatic crystal. Suddenly, his system pings. It detects a source of raw energy nearby. The system asks to convert the crystal into evolution points, and his eyes instantly light up. This is exactly what he needs. Beast crystals are the perfect fuel for his system. Convert it, he commands. The system immediately processes his order. It confirms the success, awarding him 100 evolution points. Before the system even finishes speaking, the crystal melts into water and vanishes from his palm. Mina's eyes widen. She leans in so close her face almost touches his hand. She inspects both sides of his hands, utterly baffled by where the crystal went. It is just another of his abilities, he explains with a chuckle. He playfully pinches her cheek. These crystals must come from the bodies of fierce beasts. This means he finally knows how to harvest points, and trust me, the hunt is on. She stares in awe before sprinting back to the first fallen scout. She wants to dig up more crystals. Meanwhile, he asks his system about leveling up. He wants to know how many points are needed to raise a beast's level. Going from level 1 to 2 costs 10 points, but level 2 to 3 costs 100. He shakes his head, deciding to prioritize getting at least one beast to level 3. He summons the rock armor turtle, planning to upgrade it to level 2 first. Then he calls out to the rock wall, "Little try, get over here." The lizard scurries over. Placing his palm on it, he orders an evolution. The system processes the request, upgrading the level 1 lizard to level 2. Success, 10 evolution points are deducted from his current total. His own mimicry camouflage skill is automatically upgraded to level 2 as well. A warm current flows through him, making his body feel significantly stronger. It is incredibly convenient how these skills sync up automatically. The lizard's appearance barely changes, but its body stretches to a full meter long. It now possesses enough raw power to easily take down an unsuspecting target. Mina returns, holding a small strip of dried meat as her only find. Then she spots the oversized lizard. Her blue eyes gleam and she licks her lips. The lizard instantly freezes. It stares at her with pure terror. He quickly warns her that this is his new pet, not an evening snack. He playfully pinches her sensitive bunny ears to stop any cooking ideas. She squeaks in surprise. Her face instantly turns bright red. She pouts and protests, telling him she is not a pet and he must stop pinching her ears. He lets go with an awkward cough, having wanted to touch them since day one. He did not expect such a reaction. Honestly, the texture felt great. He makes a mental note to do it again sometime. Suddenly, she perks up. Her ears twitch. She claims she can hear the heavy footsteps of his turtle. He explains that he called it over, looking at her ears with newfound respect. He can only sense his beast up to 200 or 300 meters away. But she can easily hear it from that distance, picking out its exact footsteps. A few minutes later, the massive turtle arrives. He places a hand on its head. He commands the system to evolve it, raising the rock armor turtle to level 2. Just like that, 10 evolution points are deducted, upgrading his earth rock thrust to level 2. Once the strengthening settles, he opens his attribute panel to check the updates. Stamina reads 10.5, speed 880, strength 9.6, spirit is 16. With lifespan leaping to an astonishing 260 years, his evolution points sit at 80, with both earth rock thrust and mimicry camouflage at level 2, while his 2 highly loyal tamed beasts, the rock armor turtle and the 3-colored lizard, share those same talents. A lifespan of 260 years is what most people only dream of, yet Mu Liang has gained it so easily. Suddenly, the turtle grows. Again, Mina gasps, snapping him out of his daze to witness a dramatic transformation. From its 1-meter form, the rock armor turtle is now 10 times larger, reaching the size of a small room as it lets out a joyful cry and nudges its wash basin-sized head against him. He softly calls it a good boy. Gently patting the giant head and soothing it like a child, upright, it looms over 3 meters tall, making Mina's blue eyes sparkle with awe. Who could possibly believe this giant was a tiny palm-sized turtle just yesterday? He gently asks how little Hanmu compares to the fierce beast she has seen, seeking a reference for its level 2. Rock armor turtle's strength. Mina is startled. She then speaks. Uncertainly, by size alone, little Hanmu should be stronger. He nods. In agreement, knowing its massive size is both an advantage and a weakness. Slow and clunky, but its earth rock thrust neatly offsets that sluggishness. She blinks up at him, eagerly asking to climb onto its back, and of course, he agrees with a laugh, sending the thought directly to the turtle. The beast rumbles low, retracting its sharp spikes as the ground beside them begins to heave, shaping solid blocks into a rock staircase. Mina gasps in wonder, asking if little Hanmu can understand them. He tells her it does, leading the way onto its back. Up there, the spikes have retracted, leaving a wide, flat space of about 8 square meters, with the shell's outer rim keeping a ring of half-meter spikes angled upward like a natural fence. He silently praises the turtle through their bond, and it replies with a happy rumbling vibration. Little Hanmu is incredibly clever, Mina says, climbing up to watch the staircase melt back into the earth, before jokingly suggesting they build a house on its back to live there. To Mu Liang, the idea actually seems quite possible, struck by the concept, since he will have more tamed beasts over time, making human settlements highly inconvenient, and he can hardly sleep in the open wilderness forever, with the turtle constantly growing as it continues to evolve. That broad shell could become a perfect home. She notices him lost in thought, asking hesitantly if he is seriously planning to build a home on its shell. He laughs, telling her the space is still too small, but a temporary wooden cabin could work. She is absolutely thrilled that they might actually live on its massive shell one day. He crosses his arms, raises an eyebrow, and asks if she likes having a mobile home, one where they never have to walk on foot again. It sounds amazing, she exclaims, jumping up to imagine roaming the world together like brave hunters, or, as she secretly hopes, a chance to search for her lost sister. She shouts a barrage of happy questions, wondering if a heavy load would tire it. He tells her the stones protect it, and even 100 of her wouldn't feel heavy. He leans against a rock spike, watching her plan, realizing something. It strikes him that having a girl this lively by his side might be quite nice. She chirps for them to hurry back to camp so she can move her shed over. But he shakes his head, reminding her about the incoming bandit attack. Hearing this, she sticks out her tongue, admitting she was too excited and almost forgot. Then she steps to his side, clutching his clothes, and says weakly that if it's too dangerous, they should just leave tomorrow. She is kind but selfish, caring only for the few people close to her. She doesn't want him taking risks now that they have a new life ahead. There is no danger, he reassures her, looking up at the hazy sky where a single shaft of sunlight breaks through in the distance before the clouds swallow it again. He only wants to warn the camp, and if they won't listen, he will leave with her the day after tomorrow. In this brutal world, kindness has to be measured against what you can spare. He asks about her connection To the people in the camp wanting to know more about her life, does she have any friends there? Just a few she caught lizards with. Things are okay, she says, tilting her head and looking away, but she keeps clear of everyone else. Little companions, he asks softly. Probably, she says, scratching her cheek, remembering those who caught fewer lizards than her and tried to snatch hers away. Being a mutant, the result was easy to guess. She beat them until they cried, took their lizards, and they have avoided her ever since. So they weren't really companions. Honestly, hearing this just shows how brutal her life has been, which technically makes him her very first friend. By evening, they are back at the shed. She squats by the fire pit, happily sorting their catch, 45 small 3-colored lizards, 23 of them caught by her pet lizard and the rest by the 2 of them, plus 3 palm-sized rats, a massive haul compared to her usual 2 or 3. He sharpens his military knife and asks if she always eats these tiny lizards. Yes, and on lucky days, some wild rabbit meat, she answers without looking up, focused on this rare bounty. He asks if she is full. His hand pauses on the blade. Full, she repeats, tilting her head. Then admits with quiet sadness that she doesn't even know what full means. She has never once had a full stomach, so how could she know the feeling? He listens to this, meeting her bewildered eyes, and a sharp, irritable feeling rises inside him. He tosses aside the sharpening stone. She blinks, asking what is wrong. Nothing, he says, deciding to walk the camp a bit. He slides the knife back into its sheath, wanting to scout the situation, spread the news of the raid, and clear his head. Be careful, she tells him, staying behind to process the lizards into jerky so they keep. He shoulders his pack, opens the door, and slips into the shadows of the surrounding sheds. It is dark already, no moon in the sky, perfect cover for his kind of work. The smell of roasted meat drifts through. Firelight leaks from cracks in a few sheds, but mostly there is silence and sleeping breath, because if you cannot eat your fill, you move less and sleep more. From Mina, he learned the camp runs a hunting team that ranges far for wild rabbits, desert tortoises, and wild dogs, and the food it brings goes to those working for the leader, while everyone else has to fend for themselves. Living here means paying taxes for the leader's protection. Out in the harsh wilderness, a single beast could easily end you. But the real reason they pay is far more desperate. The leader controls the water. Only those who pay receive the rations to prevent them from dying of thirst. Tonight, he sneaked out to steal extra water for their upcoming journey. The camp itself is pretty small, divided into inner and outer layers. The inner ring is protected by heavy fences where the chief and his hunters stay. The outer circle holds commoners like Mina. He scales the 2-meter fence with ease, effortlessly slipping past the guards. Inside, the rich smell of roasting meat hangs heavy as fires blaze. He passes wooden houses leaking sounds of luxury, muttering about their absolute lack of caution. Then he carefully slides a loose stone back into the outer wall. The leader's compound sits dead center. He circles it once to investigate, discovering it spans over 400 square meters. Unbelievably massive. What an absurd luxury. He thinks, finally realizing where all that hard-earned taxpayer labor actually goes. Choosing a quiet corner, he scales the wall and drops soundlessly into a dimly lit side room. He presses his ear toward the voices inside to pinpoint their location. Spotting nearly 8 maids, he stealthily trails one carrying a clay pot toward a guarded door. His mimicry camouflage blends him perfectly into the dark shadows. Spotted, not a chance. The room she enters has no windows at all, only a single door. Soon, she emerges carrying a full pot of water, dodging a guard's wandering hand with a sharp glare. He notes the water source, then follows her into a bright dining hall. 4 men are feasting inside. The maid sets down the clay pot, but instead of pouring, she grabs a wild rabbit and slits its throat. Fresh blood drips directly into the water pot. Talk about a stomach-churning sight. He loses all interest in that water, but their conversation suddenly stops him cold. Go on, get out, the middle-aged chief at the table head orders. Dismissing the maid, he scoops the blood-red water directly from the pot and gulps it down. The maid bows and leaves, and the other men quickly speak up. One asks if they truly have to abandon this place. Another argues that cutting back on vegetable watering could buy them months. A third scoffs, calling the vegetable watering a complete waste anyway. After all, those greens are strictly for the leader's personal indulgence. The 3 subordinates are clearly growing resentful. The leader suddenly slams the table and coldly asks if they prefer to stay and rot. He pours more Bloody water down his throat, revealing the underground well will last 10 days. At most, complete disaster. Everyone dies of thirst, but finding a new source is brutal. One complains, while another suggests relocating to the Wulho tribe. Alas agrees, pointing out that they could easily join their elite hunting squad. The chief's face goes dead silent. He refuses outright, swearing he will never bow to the Wulho, a former chief joining. Another faction would lose all authority after a lifetime of ruling others. He refuses to kneel to anyone. Then where do we go? One asks. Another mutters he refuses to die of thirst, while Alas warns of the worst. He threatens to take his family to the Wulho tribe. The leader glares, pure murder in his cold eyes, explaining that his scouts are already out searching for water. If there is nothing after 5 days, they will move. The captains quickly agree to wait, happily gulping down their roast meat and drinking their blood. They finally leave. Hidden in the corner, he watches everything. The camp running completely dry is a major shock, and seeing the planted crops surprises him too. Doyen, the camp leader, calls out, and a plain youth enters. Looking completely miserable, Doyen demands to know exactly how he did with his assignment today. Dan grits his teeth, swearing he never saw a single soul from Bloodbeard's crew. He insists he waited at the agreed hill all day, but absolutely nobody showed up. Doyen barks that it is impossible, rising to his feet. He had personally arranged this deal with the bandit boss Bloodbeard. Doyen stares Diane down with absolute malice, demanding to know if he is telling the truth. Diane insists he would never dare lie, barely keeping himself from backing away. The leader suppresses his killing intent, ordering Diane back to the hill. He must deliver the news that the plan is moved to the day after tomorrow. Diane bows deeply and exits, leaving the furious leader completely alone. Instantly, the leader flips the table with a wild roar, cursing his captains. They think they can slip his grasp, muttering bitterly about wanting to join the Wulho tribe. His voice turns hoarse as he growls that those who disobey can simply die. Ever since their main water well dried completely up, the desperate hunters have wanted to flee. The dinner guests were actually the 3 captains testing his limits over the meal. Doyen sneers in disgust, thinking how these loyal dogs now suddenly want off their leashes. He had fully planned to bring them all to Bloodbeard anyway, as a massive bargain. But now he decides that several of his own captains can easily be thrown away. Finding water was just an excuse for his deal. Bloodbeard's crew would slaughter the outskirts, while the leader played the hero. Doyen would fake being cornered, leading his unsuspecting hunters straight into a deadly bandit ambush. Sacrificing his men would buy him serious influence and wait with the bandits. The bandits get loot and women, and the leader secures his new rank. His dark eyes burn with cold rage, barely resisting the urge to open his throat. The ultimate bitter betrayal is that the camp leader invited the vicious bandits here himself. Honestly, who saw that twist coming? He only came to warn him about the raid. Knowing how bandits operate, the fate of the innocent would be pure horror. If Mina had not crossed paths with the scouts and chosen to leave with him today, what kind of terrible end would have waited for her in this camp? He forces the thought away, picturing her dirty but cheerful smile. Looking at the still ranting leader, he silently sentences this absolute scum to his death. He steps out of the darkness, moving as silently as a ghost. And just like that, he is standing right behind the oblivious target. Here we go. The leader mutters to himself, complaining about his disobedient captains. He leans his head back, seething with anger, completely unaware as our protagonist spots a cloth nearby. Quietly grabbing the heavy cloth, he rolls it into a tight gag. The leader begins muttering about their young daughters, but the cloth instantly chokes off his voice. Jammed deep into his mouth, the gag makes him thrash in terror as he struggles to stand. He pins the man's neck from behind. "Welcome to hell," he whispers. His victim gasps, eyes bulge, hands clawing uselessly at his iron grip. The enhancer discovers he cannot budge this massive grip. "Goodbye," he says. He twists his arm like a blade, snapping the neck clean. All strength drains. The body falls limp, lifeless eyes staring blankly at the hall. "Why bother?" he murmurs, tossing a towel over the dead man's face. Now time to loot. He casually searches the hall next, scooping up every single iron dining knife and scrap of metal from the floor. He packs them to melt down and reforge later. No problem, he grabs several long knives and swords right off the wall, securing them on his back. He moves to the leader's room. Wow, this place is insanely lavish. There is a bed with beast fur, wolf heads on the wall, and a long knife. He claims the fine blade, then pulls open a bedside drawer to investigate further. Inside a small wooden box lie 7 fierce beast crystals of various sizes. Jackpot, a wide smile spreads across his face as he gathers them up. As his fist closes tight, the system suddenly pings with an offer. It asks to convert the energy. Of course, he tells it to begin. Finding these crystals was his main goal in coming here anyway. The system confirms the swap. Instantly, his account balance updates. He gains 340 evolution points, putting a massive grin on his face. Looting pays off. That is a sweet boost on top of his previous 80. He now has 420 points. That is enough for 3 evolutions. No beast grows strong without resources, and he is ready to invest. While handling the empty box, his nail catches a hollow-sounding spot. He pries open the false bottom with his military knife, a hidden cloth bag. It is filled with vegetable seeds. In this harsh wasteland, seeds are hope. They represent a real chance to bring civilization back, so he packs them securely. Next, he finds 5 rolls of colored cloth stacked neatly inside the wardrobe by the bed. This is way too much loot for one man to carry quietly. He is going to need some help, so he reaches out with his mental link. He summons his 3-colored lizard, currently stationed to guard Mina. Summoning the heavy turtle here would just smash the walls to pieces. While the lizard makes its way over, he wraps the heavy cloth and swords. Searching the rest of the wardrobe, he digs past the clothes. Deep underneath all the old clothes, he uncovers a beautiful, pristine wolf pelt. He rolls it up and sets it aside, thrilled he has a warm blanket now. Little Try arrives easily, scaling the walls and crawling down from the ceiling. Must be nice. Unlike his pet, he had to sneak in the hard way. But carrying the loot is a problem, since the rolls are huge. The lizard is too small. He places his hand on it, ordering an evolution. The system deducts 100 points, upgrading the beast to level 3. Its stealth talent advances, synchronizing with his own abilities. A warm energy floods him. He feels his body sharpening once again. This new mimicry stealth lets his skin blend completely into any surroundings. It is exactly what he needed, even with a tiny 1-second lag. It gets worse the faster he goes, making it far better for sneaking than running. He can stay invisible while moving, and that is the only part he cares about. Of course, it has a catch. Everything good does. Little Try has. Doubled in size, now measuring 2 meters long. Its scales are no longer striped, but split. Clean into 3 colors, 1 green, 1 red, and 1 blue, sharp spikes have grown beside its head, and its brown vertical pupils have gone cold. He pats its head, whispering softly that if he ever manages to find a pair of wings, it could pass for a dragon. The beast tilts its head, having no idea what a dragon even is. He ties the cloth, the heavy wolf pelt, and the bundle of weapons across its back. When the creature finally squirms uncomfortably under the weight, he sends it out the window with a grin, telling it to let Mina untie the load and then come straight back. Its claws bite easy. Gouges into the wood as it climbs out. He needs to hurry before someone finds the leader's body, so he slips back into the corridor to keep searching. The maids are all staying put in their assigned spots, waiting for a master who is never going to summon them again. His real goal this trip is food, and while he is moving, he catches sight of someone creeping ahead of him. From the profile, he recognizes Doyen, the same man he saw in the hall earlier. Curious about what he is up to in there, he follows. He checks, sees no one at all, and slips quietly into a room that turns out to be the food storehouse, where a maid is waiting. For a second, he thinks affair. But no, he dismisses it. Doyen is just packing the premium cuts of meat into a cloth bag while the maid hisses at him in absolute panic. She tells him he is insane to take so much, warning that if the leader finds out, he will kill him. A little stolen meat she could easily cover up, but not a haul like this. Doyen growls back that the leader has completely lost his mind and is preparing to strike a deal with Bloodbeard to completely wipe out everyone in the camp who will not fall in line. He stayed away from the hill today, hoping to throw a wrench in the plans, only to find the leader is too far gone. He means to bring Bloodbeard into the camp even earlier than scheduled. Doyen had lied to the leader back in the hall as a test, and the answer was plain enough. The leader was already getting ready to run. Doyen had figured if he kept the bandit scouts from making contact, the two sides might start to suspect each other, but he never guessed the leader had already negotiated with Bloodbeard in person. suspicion is completely off the table. The moment the two sides meet and talk, Doyen will be exposed. After that, there is only a dead end, so he plans to run tonight. The maid's face goes pale. She asks how the leader could possibly work with Bloodbeard. Doyen shoves her toward the door, urging her to pack immediately. She nods over and over, repeating that she understands. Pulling herself together enough to leave, he lets her go, keeping his eyes locked on Doyen as he packs dried meat in the store room. Plans never keep up with reality, and right then, he decides to change his original strategy completely. Meanwhile, Doyen aggressively shovels chunks of dried meat into the bag in sheer disgust. He even grabs the dried wolf meat the leader hoarded, muttering that the man would rather be a thief than live decently. He eyes the giant sack, easily weighing over 100 caddies, muttering that he might have taken way too much. Suddenly, the storeroom door swings open behind him. He steps in close. He clamps a hand over the man's mouth, laying the cold flat of his military knife against his throat. The hostage starts to struggle, then freezes the instant he feels the steel. In a low, rough voice, he warns him not to move unless he wants a new opening in his neck. Immediately, both hands shoot up in surrender. He tells him he is a smart man and that if he obeys, he gets to live. The man nods against his hand. As a reward for that obedience, he promises to give him a piece of news. Then, in a chillingly calm tone, he drops the truth. His leader had his neck twisted the second Doyen left. Now, the captive's whole body shivers with goose flesh. If that is true, then this mysterious phantom man was standing right in that hall the entire time. He calmly confirms it, telling him exactly that he was there watching from the very second he walked in. He had been running interrogation and intimidation techniques learned from special forces. The captive makes a strangled sound and he tells him again that he is a smart man who should not turn around or make any noise. Slowly, he eases his hand off and puts the blade away. He whispers, asking if there is some task he wants him to perform, since clearly he has a use for him or he would be dead already. He tells him flatly that he has absolutely nothing for him to do, leaving him completely lost. Then he adds, almost as an afterthought, that Bloodbeard's scout is also dead by his hand. That scout did not return today. He warns that when a new one comes tomorrow, finding the camp leader dead, what does he think Bloodbeard will do? Doyen swallows hard, and they both know the answer. Bloodbeard brings men and turns everyone in the camp into spoils of war. He lifts the bag of dried meat, calling it payment for the information, and on his way out, he turns and tells him calmly that he will talk about psychological warfare. He promises to keep watching his clever friend, who looks ready to cry. He does not need to hear the curse in Doyen's head to know he is begging him silently to please stop watching, but he does not dare speak, does not dare move, and he does not care how he reacts. If the man turns out too stupid to play his part of the plan, he will send little Try once to carve a few claw marks somewhere, reminding him that he really is watching. As for what the plan even is, it is only a rough idea he has started shaping. The details still remain loose. He has food now, so he only needs water, waiting in an empty room for little Try to come haul the meat back. He does not wait long. The beast crawls through the window. He ties the sack to its body, thinking Ma is going to be surprised. He came here for water, yet somehow he is carrying out half a household. Sending the lizard off, he slips into the water room. For a man who can already turn invisible, the guard at the door is barely an obstacle. So he flicks a stone down the far end of the corridor to pull his attention away, closes the gap in silence, and drops him with a chop to the neck. He drags him inside, pushes the door shut, and finds the room lit by torches, easy to read. In the center, under a layer of floorboards, sits a 2-meter well, a wooden bucket hanging beside it, the shaft black enough that he cannot tell if there is water down there at all. He drops the bucket, hauls it back, and finds the water turbid, the rim caked with mud, telling him the well is nearly dry. So he turns to the barrels stacked in the corner instead, each about a meter tall. They are as thick as a man can hug. He rocks one and hears water sloshing inside. Then he slings 2 full barrels onto his shoulders, one on each side. At his strength now, they might as well be 2 light loaves of bread. Sparingly, this should last them a long while, and he carries them out without hurrying. Doyen still has not moved at all. He was scared thoroughly enough to stay frozen until the maid comes running back inside, screaming that the leader is dead. His tense body sags and he slumps weakly against the table. When she tells him where it happened, in the main hall with a twisted neck, his face completely changes. The mysterious man did not lie, meaning the Bloodbeard scout must be dead, too. Run, he thinks in sheer panic, grabbing a bag to pack with dried meat. Maid asks, completely lost, if they even need to flee with the leader gone. He stiffens, then realizes there is no one left to run from. He reflects on their conversation, wondering why the stranger 777 bothered to tell him the scout was dead unless there was a hidden motive, and the moment he mutters those final parting words to himself, all color drains from his face. If he runs away alone, the mysterious man will kill him. Talk about absolute terror. Dian turns to the dazed maid and orders her to go fetch the captains of the hunting team. He has an urgent message for everyone in the camp. She stammers that she understands, shocked to see her childhood friend look so pale. He lets out a bitter laugh under his breath at his own situation. He has to take the entire camp and flee with them, and that was exactly what the mysterious man wanted. Who are you? He wonders silently. Meanwhile, rewind 12 minutes to the wooden shed on the edge of camp. Mina has finished skinning and gutting the small lizards and 3 rats, hanging them over the fire to smoke. She scrubs the dark blood off her hands with rough sand since there is no precious water to spare. She keeps glancing at the door, her blue eyes unfocused, wondering why the young man has been gone so long. Anxiety creeps in. Did something happen to him? Out there, honestly, the fear of being left behind is eating her alive. She quickly shakes it off, reminding herself he is far too skilled to fail. To keep busy, she starts sorting her belongings, the pillow, the rabbit fur quilt, the wooden bowls, and the bucket. She even stares at the door itself, hates to leave behind a single item her sister built piece by piece before she vanished. Suddenly, a scratching sound rakes across the shed door. It swings open and a blurry shape squeezes inside. Her expression hardens instantly. She whips out her bone thorn, pressing her back flat against the wall. But then Little Try deactivates its camouflage, letting its scales fade back into view while hissing softly. She stares at the bizarre, unfamiliar creature, asking if it is really the little lizard, and demanding a nod. It completely ignores her, clawing at the rope tied around its fat belly. She stops herself, realizing that only her mysterious partner could command a beast to haul heavy weapons across the camp. She quickly unties the bundle, releasing the swords, and the lizard immediately turns back to go work for its shameless master. She yells after it, asking where he is. But the little lizard has only the mind of a 2-year-old. She reaches for the cloth, rubbing it between her fingers, marveling at how incredibly soft and light it feels. It is premium beast fur, enough for dozens of outfits. She shakes the giant wolf pelt open, and it stretches taller than she is. Even knowing it came from a dangerous predator, she hugs the soft fur clothes. She assumes these are rewards because he warned the leader about Bloodbeard. Those premium swords certainly seem to prove it, but then Little Try walks in. He hands over another heavy sack, and the moment she opens it, she freezes. It is loaded with valuable dried meat. No way a simple warning earned this. That greedy leader would never be this generous. Suddenly, the pieces start falling together. Looking from the meat to the swords, she wonders if he broke in. Did he seriously just rob the chief blind? No way that miser gave this away. He absolutely stole it, she realizes. Panic sets in as she ties the sack shut. She clutches the loot tight and shoves it under the bed to hide it from search parties. They just need to survive the night. First light and they are out of here. She keeps muttering under her breath, scolding him for taking so much on his way out. An idea hits her. They could load the stash onto Little Hyen Mew's back. She resolves to pitch this getaway plan to him the second he gets back. She paces the shed, figuring out temporary hiding spots, should they return the goods. Absolutely not. He took it all with his own hands, so giving it back is out. That thought never even crosses her mind. Suddenly, he returns carrying 2 huge barrels. He spots her kneeling by the bed with her head buried completely underneath. He asks what on earth she is doing down there, making her yelp in surprise. She smacks her head hard on the wooden bed frame and crawls out groaning. Rubbing her sore skull, she glares at him, bursting with endless questions. He smiles, asking if she is okay, but she immediately demands answers from him. She wants to know what he was doing, and he casually mentions grabbing food. Eyeing the giant water barrels, she rolls her eyes at his definition of grabbing some food. She tells him he must have emptied the chief's entire house at this rate. He replies flatly that there was still plenty left behind, wishing he took more. But on his way out, he noticed villagers heading straight for the chief's house. It seems Dian kept her promise after all. She covers her face in disbelief. Unprepared for his sheer audacity, she leans in close with puffed-out cheeks. She commands him to give her a heads-up next time so she can prepare herself. After all, she was worried sick, trying to hide all this massive plunder. He spreads his hands, explaining that plans rarely survive when they clash with hard reality. He originally only left to fetch some fresh water, but things quickly escalated. Once he overheard the leader's sick plan, he decided to end him permanently. Whispering, she asks what they will do when the chief realizes his treasury is empty. She suggests hiding their haul on Little Hyen Mew's back, but he waves it off. There is no need, he tells her calmly, because the leader is already dead. Her blue eyes go wide, searching his expression to see if this is some sick joke. He reassures her it is true, briefly explaining the chief's secret alliance with Bloodbeard. That monster deserved to die, she fumes, completely siding with his actions. Watching her cheeks puff out in anger, he finds her reaction pretty cute. A soft blush creeps up her face as she catches him staring at her. He looks away, gently telling her the camp is moving out tomorrow. She asks if they are going too, but he shakes his head. They are staying. 2 more days, she protests that staying is far too dangerous with enemies around, but he insists there is no danger. They only have to wait. For the scouts, then he calmly drops a bombshell. He is raiding Bloodbeard's home. Her eyes go wide and she stammers in shock. Yes, she heard right. He plans to walk right into their stronghold and steal everything. The idea struck him the second he learned the truth. The leader arranged for the bandits to attack. Now he has a plan. To lure Bloodbeard out to raid an empty camp, draw the tiger away. Using a classic strategy, then he will circle back and raid their base. She grabs his arm, face pale, telling him he is absolutely insane. It is a 500-man army. One tiny mistake will cost him his life. He raises a finger, reminding her that those 500 men won't be there. He asks didn't they kill the bandit scout earlier. She nods and he lays it out. No scout returned today, so tomorrow, Bloodbeard sends more. Since their base is over a day of travel away, those scouts will delay. They won't reach the camp until the day after tomorrow. By then, they'll be ready. It will look like everyone just fled, if she were the bandit boss. Would she send men to chase them? She hesitates, admitting she probably would. Exactly, the scouts see this and race back to report the very same day. Bloodbeard, feeling played, will bring his entire army for revenge. Without a second thought, but the refugees will already be gone. 3 days gone, impossible to catch, leaving their base completely empty. That is when they strike. The entire plan depends on the time difference. Making Bloodbeard believe the camp emptied only yesterday. Fooling those scouts is key. She looks at him and asks if he is confident. He shakes his head, explaining that it costs them absolutely nothing if they fail. Just 2 wasted days, but if it works, they will hit the jackpot. A massive hoard of beast crystal stones, enough to evolve a level 4 companion. Before dawn, the hunting team is already going door to door. They yell at everyone to abandon useless junk and bring only food and clothes. They hammer on the shed doors, shouting that Bloodbeard is coming for them. Everyone must flee to the Wolho tribe for safety, and then they vanish. Mina wakes up under the warm wolf fur he draped over her, yawning sleepily. She asks when he finally slept, remembering him drawing maps by the fire. He worked with charcoal until late, telling her he slept around midnight. He was up stirring the meat soup, making stew for breakfast. She walks over with shining eyes, but then frowns at the huge portion. She insists she will cook from now on to save their precious food. He tells her not to worry. Their remaining meat will easily last 20 days. He packs her iron lunch box to the brim and hands it over. Last night, she barely ate a third of what she actually needed. If he let her run the kitchen, they would both live on empty stomachs. She protests that it is too much food, though her hands eagerly grab it. He offers soup instead of dry meat. She takes a spoonful and gasps. The rich flavor immediately blows her away, one warm mouthful filling her stomach. With trembling lips, she whispers that it has been forever since she tasted meat soup. She remembers when her sister was still around and they would cook it together. Gently, he wipes away her tears, promising she can have it whenever she wants. She shakes her head quickly, insisting that meat soup daily is just too extravagant. He smiles, asking her if they normally just drink plain water anyway. She nods, so he points out that making soup provides both water and food. She tilts her head, agreeing. It seems to make sense, but something still bugs her. Honestly, she is just too adorable and incredibly easy to talk in circles. Two different worlds, the shed is peaceful but outside is chaotic. They eat in total peace while the rest of the camp frantically packs. She finishes the whole box with a pang of guilt, having meant to save half. He asks how it feels to be full, and she looks up. She calls it comfortable but too extravagant, so he tells her to leave food to him. Gently, he strokes her head. She saved his life. He won't let her starve. She flushes deeply, speechless. Feigning annoyance, he tells her to remove her headscarf. He wants to touch her adorable bunny ears, but she pouts, complaining she is not a pet. She unties the cloth anyway. Catching him smiling, she immediately turns away. With her chin tilted, she proudly claims she is only airing out her ears. He agrees, swallowing a laugh. She snorts, quickly changing the subject. She asks if they are working on little Hyanu's back today for her moving house. He tells her not to rush. The turtle must reach level 3 first. At level 3, its back will be much roomier, allowing him to build something decent. He won't even know how to plan the layout until he sees how massive it gets. Her eyes light up. They head out, but she suddenly stops, worried. With the whole camp packing up, she worries about their gear, but he points to the corner. Their 2-meter-tall little tree monster fades out of invisibility, standing guard. She nods, relieved. They slip out into the quiet corners of the empty wilderness. There, the rock-armored turtle is foraging, unleashing a sudden stone spike from the ground. It punches a giant rat clean out. They finally find the beast. Round it, the hills have sprouted an entire field of sharp rock spikes. The moment it sees him, the turtle cries out, a tragic, wronged sound. Its desperate plea gives him a headache. The giant beast is completely starving. Mina stares up at its titanic shape with her mouth open, wondering how to feed it. Feeding something this massive seems impossible. Luckily, the system chimes in right now. It informs him that spending just 1 evolution point daily will satisfy its hunger. He grumbles back that the system really should have mentioned this sooner. Otherwise, feeding a creature this size normally would have left him broke. It would both starve. The system remains completely silent, offering no excuses. Shaking his head, he waves the turtle over and promises to give it some energy. As its massive head lowers, he gently places his palm on its cold, stony skin. He commands the system to evolve the rock-armored turtle and satisfy its hunger. Promptly, the system deducts 100 evolution points from his balance. The interface confirms the evolution from level 2 to level 3 is complete. This rock burst impale skill synchronizes, instantly reinforcing his physical body. Jinwoo quickly pulls up his attribute screen to check on his newly updated lifespan. The status panel lists Kang Jinwoo the Tamer with 22 stamina and 21 speed. His spirit is 32, living 24 years of a 420 limit, plus 10 taming points. With 219 evolution points banked, his current active abilities. They list Earth Rock, Burst, Impale, and Mimicry Stealth, both at level 3. This stands against a normal human baseline of 1, with his pets holding matching talents. Living over 400 years is a huge future he never could have imagined. Smiling, Jinwoo closes the screen. Not gonna lie, having a 400-year lifespan is absolutely wild to even think about. He wonders how his stats compare to an enhancer. Right then, Mina frantically tugs his shirt. She stammers, "Look at little Hanmu." That snaps him right back to reality. Jinwoo looks up and sees the turtle has grown massive. It once filled 10 square meters. But now it easily occupies the footprint of a 100-square-meter house. It throws. It throws back its head with a powerful roar, raising a giant foot to stomp down. A meter-long rock spike erupts. It shoots outward like a deadly cannonball. It shatters a stone wall 100 meters away, making Mina's rabbit ears stand straight up. Her eyes glaze over. Jinwoo smirks, glad his pet finally has a powerful long-range attack. Mina quickly recovers, gushing about how amazing little Hanmu is. She struggles to find words. Her vocabulary is just too limited. The armored turtle stands over 6 meters tall now, with its heavy limbs fully sheathed in sharp spikes. Climbing it is impossible, so he commands it to help them up. The creature lies down and coaxes a staircase of solid rock out of the ground. He guides Mina up the steps onto the shell, where she immediately spins around in delight. The space has expanded tenfold, and she runs across it as light as a butterfly. Jinwoo watches her play, asking what kind of home she wants to build here. She freezes. Is he serious? She crouches down, her ears tangling helplessly. Those long ears clearly mirror her current mood as she struggles to think of something. He instantly wants to tug them. Finally, she looks up. She weakly suggests a simple wooden shed, but he tells her to think much bigger. A basic shed is way too simple, and she admits she cannot picture anything else. Since she is struggling, Jinwoo pulls a folded piece of cloth from his pocket. He spreads it across the shell, revealing a detailed house plan he sketched last night. She leans close, growing more enamored with the sketch by the second. Suddenly, she looks up. Thrilled, she asks if their future home can really look like this. He assures her it is simple, featuring 2 bedrooms, a living room, and a bathroom. It has a small courtyard. She absolutely loves it, but then her ears droop. She worries they will need a mountain of stone, but hey, guess who they are riding on? He stomps the shell, mentally asking the giant beast to start producing some building blocks. He requests rectangular stones. It answers with a satisfied, low hiss. It begins drawing rock from the surrounding hills, shaping and lifting brick-sized blocks. Up on its back in a messy pile, making Mina's eyes light up. Next, he tells her they will lay the bricks out, according to his detailed blueprint. Jinwoo rolls up his sleeves and draws the guides on the shell using charcoal. Since the giant beast cannot read blueprints, building it alone would be impossible. Mina happily takes over, earning the turtle some well-deserved praise. He moves stone directly. Without that skill, this would be a nightmare, the giant turtles. Own spikes could easily build a house, but that armor is strictly for defense. Spending it on walls is completely backward. Better to just gather loose stone and bind it with his unique ability. It fuses the armor straight to rock. This anchors everything firmly to the shell with 0 cement or rebar. The weight, nothing. To a beast of this size, normal building requires a proper foundation. Steel and concrete, but this turtle saves him 90% of that. Its shell serves as the foundation. Now all that is left is to stack bricks. Mina hugs a brick onto a drawn charcoal line. She marvels as they merge into one. With absolutely no gaps, he warns her not to build too high because they still need a window, but when he walks over, she has already built a section to her own height, so he uses his power, pulling bricks to open a window. She immediately worries. What if thieves climb in, just like back at the old windowless camp? He simply bends his finger, flicks her forehead, and tells her that ordinary intruders cannot climb up here. She touches her forehead, only now realizing the truth. That they live on the mighty Hyen Mu's back. She has nothing to fear. She catches on eventually, bless her. Next, he finishes the window and doors. He handles the interior layout entirely by himself rather than trusting her with blueprints she would never follow anyway. The 2 bedrooms face each other. At about 10 square meters each, the main hall runs 30, while the bathroom sits in the corner. He pipes the waste channel down so the smell never reaches the rooms. The yard wall is a modest half-meter. The gate sits on the side of the shell. He gives the turtle a secret signal so specific movements will summon the stone stairs. When he finally looks up, the clouds have turned orange-red. The roofless house stands complete. It feels incredibly satisfying. Mina cheers. It is finally halfway done. She clenches her little fists, urging them to push harder and finish today, but he shakes his head. The roof needs wooden supports before they can stack bricks across it. She immediately rushes to climb down for wood. He grabs her collar. No need for that, he says. They already have ready-made wood. When she tilts her head, he reminds her the camp is empty now. It is nearly dark. She realizes they must have left early. Suddenly her eyes go wide. They can salvage the wood from the abandoned camp. He orders the giant turtle to head back, and it sets off at a slow, heavy walk. Mina stands completely still. She marvels that Hyen Mu is moving, yet she feels absolutely no shaking. He explains that the turtle is absorbing the vibration, because a body that size would turn any tiny tremor into total chaos. It must keep itself in check. She understands instantly. The turtle is not fast, but each step covers massive ground, easily outpacing any human walker. 10 minutes later, they reach the edge of the settlement. The camp sits completely empty now, confirmed by his scouting. Not a single campfire burns, leaving Mina feeling a bit sad. He asks her how far the Wulho tribe is. She heard from the hunters that it takes 5 or 6 days on foot, then adds that it holds about 10,000 people, a massive number to her. She can barely believe it, wondering how much food and water they even need. Feeding 10,000 people is a massive tribe, he says, patting her shoulder. To see if it is real, they will head to the Wulho tribe later to find out. Her face lights up as she asks if they really are going. He tilts his head. He asks if she wants to go, and she meets his eyes, finding an encouraging look. She bites her lip and shouts that she wants to go to see if her sister is there. The Wulho tribe will be their next target after this one is finished, he tells her. He gives her a grin and a thumbs up. Suddenly, her heart starts pounding fast. Her hands press to her chest, her cheeks flushing red. He gently tugs a rabbit ear. He tells her to stop spacing out and clear the wood. She bristles and stomps. She yells at him not to pull her ears, her soft mood instantly ruined by the tug. One ahead, one behind, they chase each other. You can see their bond growing already. He asks which house she wants to tear down. She hesitates for a moment. Then she points to a few houses where children used to steal her little pet lizard. Fair enough, they only need the large pieces of wood, he tells her calmly. They just need to pile them next to Hyen Mew, and the giant turtle will carry them. She starts dismantling them with excitement. With his current strength, the house comes apart easily. He pulls out the massive timbers, 5 or 6 at a time for the firewood supply. The roof only needs a little wood, but their fire needs plenty of fuel. Before long, one corner of the new yard is stacked incredibly high with lumber. Now only the roof structure is left. The walls already have grooves cut for it. With his strength, the wooden frame goes up in about 10 minutes. Mina climbs up. She volunteers to lay the bricks if he hands them up from the ground. He passes them, warning her to stand steady. She places them happily. She is already imagining how wonderful the new house will feel. Time is flying. By nightfall, they light a bonfire in the yard and keep working in the dark. An hour later, the roof is complete. The giant turtle fuses every brick together. It becomes one watertight piece that will not leak. Mina jumps down, thrilled. She clenches her fists in pure delight, staring at her beautiful new home. After a day of excitement, he pats her shoulder and tells her to pack. She has to move all their things over, but she barely owns anything. Just a pillow, bed planks, 2 bowls, a bucket, and an old wooden shed door. She pried the door off to hang in her new room as a quiet memento. Everything is packed except the old shed itself, which is simply too heavy. He stands at the entrance with a torch, watching her stand completely frozen inside. She hugs her pillow. He does not stop her. Honestly, this goodbye is heartbreaking. Finding her sister again is a long shot, but these memories give her comfort. So he lets her keep them. She bites her lip, turns, and tells him to go. She clutches the pillow tight, wondering if she will ever return to this place. He offers no cheap comfort, because any words right now would feel completely empty. He leads her toward the turtle. Even after the shed vanishes, she keeps looking. She peers back into the dark, but once they climb onto the shell, things change. Her face breaks into a real smile as she runs inside, then leans toward him. Still clutching her pillow, she asks if this room is truly all for her. He smiles and says yes, telling her she can arrange it however she likes. She laughs happily, running back inside to tidy while he tells her to sleep first. Feeling hungry, he builds a square hearth in the main hall, styling it just like the old shed. He spreads a layer of soil at the bottom, followed by insulating sand. After running a smoke pipe through the roof, he claps the dust off his hands. He jokes to himself that his earth skills have finally found a highly practical use. Next, he rigs a simple rack, hangs the steel pot, and pours in water. He sets meat to roast nearby. Suddenly, Mina's nose twitches as she peeks out. She stares in disbelief at the hearth that magically appeared while she was not looking. With food simmering over the flames, he asks why she is just standing there. He turns the roasting meat, asking if she is actually hungry. Since they lack seasoning, they must eat everything in its plainest form. She claims she is starving, sitting by the hearth to remind him to save her share. But noticing his dirt-streaked face, she changes her tone to ask if it is ready. The soup needs more time to stew, he answers, surprised she did not start nagging. He had an excuse ready. Instead, she asks shyly. She wonders how they will make the camp look recently abandoned by tomorrow morning. He turns the meat and poses a question. How would an arriving scout judge their departure? Some survival secrets must be earned rather than simply given away. Since they are traveling together, he intends to teach her a thing or two. She thinks hard, her ears twitching, before suddenly lighting up. She asks if footprints reveal the timing, and he nods in approval. Footprint depth can date a departure, but there is a simpler trick. He shares a piece of military wisdom with her, the heat of the charcoal. By monitoring how long charcoal dies and the underlying soil cools, you estimate timing. This simple rule of thumb reveals exactly when people left. She nods weakly. He gently flicks her forehead, telling her to focus on eating instead of worrying. He places a hot bowl of soup in her hands, which she accepts with a pout. After a brief post-dinner rest, they head into the eerie camp. Mina holds a torch. She eyes the silent darkness with a hint of fear. He tells her to split up. She should cover one side while he takes the other, meeting in the center. Knowing her giant companion is right behind her brings instant peace of mind. He warns her not to pile up too much wood. She nods and quietly heads inside. He expected her to be braver, but her courage is like any ordinary girl. He slips through the abandoned houses, loading firewood into the dry fire pits. He wants everything prepped to ignite early tomorrow morning before the scouts arrive. Whether he can successfully lure Bloodbeard into a wild chase remains to be seen. Tomorrow will bring the answer. He enters one house that has been abandoned forever. Cobwebs cover the threshold. He's about to turn back when a spider drops. It dangles right in front of him. His 10 taming points are still unspent today. And honestly, who could resist taming a magical spider? He reaches out immediately. He confirms his choice, and the system immediately detects a level 0 life form. A redback spider, the taming process consumes 10 evolution points. The taming succeeds. The spider, once no bigger than his pinky, begins to swell. It rapidly grows to the size of his palm, turning black with red-tipped claws. Most strikingly, a red mask pattern stretches across its back. The system offers him. He inherits the spider's silk perception talent, claiming it as his third new ability. He registers a brief warmth in his fingertips. That is all. His body is already so strong that fusing low-level beast talents barely. Registers, the system panel confirms this, showing only minor attribute gains. To test his theory, he orders the system to evolve the red ghost spider to Level 3, it deducts 110 evolution points immediately. The system confirms the evolution, advancing the skill to spider cell control. Synchronization floods his body, bringing a familiar but faint warm current. His updated stats show stamina 24, speed 23, and strength 24.2. His remaining lifespan sits at 24 years out of 450. His active abilities now include Rock Burst, Impale, Stealth, and Spider Silk Control. All are level 3, and his 3 tamed beasts share these skills. Low-level enhancements clearly provide diminishing returns as his overall power grows. He smiles wryly at his own greed, expecting every upgrade to feel monumental. But that is not how his system works, not today. He looks down at the giant red ghost spider, still clinging to his arm. Now a meter wide and pretty terrifying, he asks if it can get down. It shoots silk upward and climbs easily. He decides to test the power himself. Extending his index finger, he fires a transparent thread at the corner firewood. It sticks instantly, letting him feel the exact weight and shape of the target. The thread is incredibly tough. It is extremely sticky and completely transparent. It is the perfect tool for setting up deadly ambushes. He sends a direct mental command to the spider, naming it Little Red. He orders it to spin a wide perimeter of sticky silk around the outer camp. He warns the beast not to capture anyone, only to report back. Catching a scout too early would completely ruin his element of surprise. The spider makes a dry, rubbing sound of agreement and swings away. He chuckles, briefly comparing himself to a certain famous red-suited superhero. Leaving the house, he continues stacking firewood until a nervous voice calls out. It is Mina, anxiously calling his name from one of the nearby dark rooms. He steps out to reassure her, and her deep tension melts away almost instantly. Her twitching ears still betray her lingering anxiety as they finish the task. Within 10 minutes, they finish placing firewood in every single house. They walk side by side through the heavy, silent darkness. Beyond their single torch, the night is pitch black, swallowing the stars. Hearing her sharp intake of breath, he senses her fear of the dark. He claims it is just the cold and gently takes her hand. She lets him pull her along, a soft smile gracing her lips. She squeezes back tightly. Soon, faint voices echo in the distance. Listen closely, 3 of Bloodbeard's scouts are approaching, cursing loudly. They swear their missing comrades had better be dead in some beast's mouth. Because if they simply ran off, their leader will make them suffer. One scout wonders if they were killed by the camp nearby. The other scoffs, saying nobody would dare offend their ruthless leader. Traveling at dawn is routine for these men to avoid nocturnal beasts. They know how to dodge most creatures, but they have no idea what awaits. When running into these fierce beasts, one unlucky mistake means certain death. Bloodbeard has zero use for dead weight. The powerless instantly become slaves, abused and tormented until their daily suffering feels far worse than dying. Some wonder why Bloodbeard even bothers cooperating with that tiny camp instead of simply wiping them out for their goods. The answer lies in that pack of moonwolves they ran into recently. It killed so many of his men, leaving Bloodbeard dangerously short-handed and desperate to rebuild his forces. The lead scout warns them to keep quiet. They press forward, halting every few minutes to hide behind massive rocks as predators pass by, as orange hues bleed across the horizon. The three scouts summit a ridge to spot the tiny camp in the distance. The lead scout immediately orders them to infiltrate from 3 different directions, but as they draw closer, their expressions turn grim because the camp is dead silent. Suddenly, all 3 scouts get tripped flat on their faces, only to scramble up and find absolutely nothing. When they regroup to compare notes, their stories align: open doors, missing supplies, and clear signs of a frantic escape, including freshly smoldering charcoal, which means the targets fled well before dawn. They share tense looks as one of them snaps that the entire camp actually ran. The lead scout orders one man to shadow the tracks and leave trail markers, while the other returns with him to report. Bloodbeard will undoubtedly give chase himself, since a hasty morning escape makes the runaways easy targets. If they had left yesterday, they might have faced only a small hunting party. The scouts quickly eat, rest, and split into 2 teams to depart 30 minutes later. The moment they vanish, a 2-meter-long great lizard blends out of the stone wall nearby. Their beast little try had been clinging to that rock face all along, observing them from barely 5 meters away, flicking its tongue and staying perfectly still. It patiently waited, taking its commands from Liam. Moments later, the lizard climbs down, shadowing the duo of scouts. Meanwhile, thousands of meters from the camp, the massive rock-armored turtle dozes quietly, blending perfectly into the rough terrain. Since the beast sustains itself on evolution points instead of regular food, it has no need to forage and barely ever moves. Back at the camp, Liam rises from the fire pit and stretches, smiling because everything is playing out exactly as he anticipated. At around 3 in the morning, he had personally gone to ignite every wood pile in the settlement, catching under 4 hours of sleep before Little Red woke him with news that someone had tripped the silk. From there, he kept a close eye on the 3 scouts, reading their actions, and they behaved exactly as expected. He sent Little Try to trail the 2 scouts, heading back to the main base, while assigning Little Red to manage the 3rd scout. This would prevent him from catching on and turning back to ruin the setup. Suddenly, Mina rushes out of her room, her hair a complete mess, her rabbit ears standing straight up in panic. Clutching a wolf pelt, she shouts that they must rush to the camp to light the wood piles. No need, Liam says. Seeing her on the verge of tears, he stops teasing and tells her gently that he already lit them last night. She sniffles, clutching her pelt tightly, asking if she really did not miss the timing. Liam assures her it was perfect. Confirming that the scouts took the bait, he reaches over to fix her slipping collar off her shoulder, making her face flush bright red as she lets out a soft cry and scurries straight back into her room. After a while, her annoyed voice carries out, demanding to know why he did not wake her to help build the fire since she told him to call her. He simply replies that he forgot, though in truth she was sleeping so peacefully with that wolf pelt in her arms. Honestly, he just did not have the heart to wake her, not after she spent the whole day building their house and the night stacking firewood. Her body is not constantly strengthened over and over like his is, and her exhaustion was already pushed near its absolute limit. She lets out a soft huff, knowing full well it is just an excuse. While feeling slightly guilty for not being able to help out, he calmly calls toward her door, asking whether she is handling breakfast today. No problem at all, she quickly answers. Right back, telling him to leave it to her, and he tells her it is all hers, then turns away with a subtle smile tugging at his lips. The girl is just so easy to read. Soon, Mina prepares breakfast and calls him inside, finding him busy carving a piece of wood with his military knife, 2 finished boards resting beside him. She asks what he is making, so he sets it down, shakes off the sawdust, and explains it is a drawing board, adding that they are going to visit the camp after breakfast. He had already woken their napping turtle pet and sent it crawling toward that camp. She blinks in confusion, asking why, since everything was already moved, and whether they should be tracking the enemy scouts instead. Instead, he asks if she does not want to leave a message for her sister, sitting down by the fire pit to ask what she would do if her sister ever returned to the camp looking for her. She has too little real-world experience, so he has to guide her. That makes sense, she admits, since she only ever focused on searching, never about what happens if her sister returns. He tells her to think of messages only her sister would truly understand. He is quite glad she is finally starting to catch on. She hands him a bowl, mentioning with a sigh that they are low on water, and he takes it, reassuring her that they will find a way. I hope so, she sighs, rolling her eyes in an adorable way before sitting down to eat, clearly distracted. The soup is almost finished, and she still cannot think of a message, so she blinks at him and cutely begs for help. Having already figured out the solution, he asks if the two sisters shared any childhood promises. Just that her sister told her to wait, she murmurs. A sudden wave of sadness hits her eyes, because after Bloodbeard's attack, that simple promise is completely broken. A secret code, then, he suggests, or some childhood secret only they shared, and her eyes light up. She eagerly asks if a knock code counts. He is genuinely curious what a young girl like her came up with, and she explains her code was long-eared rabbit, and her sister's was short-eared cat. She was tiny back then, locked inside the house, while her sister went out hunting lizards, always worried about her safety. So the sister set that code so the door only opened to the correct knock. Draw that very image, he instructs her, along with any other message she wants to leave, setting his bowl down. He cuts 2 strips of clean white cloth. The girl is completely illiterate, and though what people speak here is plainly Chinese, he has never seen any of this world's writing in his 8 or 9 days here to know if it matches up. She worries that using the cloth is a waste, but he tells her that her sister is worth. He nails the cloth to a board, preparing to draw with his sketching charcoal. Relying on his special forces training, he hands her a separate board to draw on. She asks how to start, so he suggests sketching it out on the ground first. He tells her to copy it later. Seeing her squat down looking lost, he prompts her a long-eared rabbit for her sister. She instantly gets the idea and begins on the shell. He sits above the giant turtle's head, reconstructing the camp layout entirely from memory. Charcoal moves steadily across the fabric, capturing every single building in the camp. After 2 intense hours, he finally finishes the piece and titles it Hometown. Writing the word in the bottom corner, he leans over the girl who is still busy. He holds back a laugh because she is clearly a true abstract soul painter. There is a bizarre rabbit person with a stretched face and a crooked mouth. It shows every tooth. Next is a short-eared cat person with stick legs. Mismatched eyes complete the look, alongside a grinning person riding a giant turtle. The only normal detail is the house, copied directly from his own blueprint. The drawing is basically kindergarten level. She wipes her face with a grin. Leaving 4 black streaks on her cheek, she proudly announces she is finished. He asks for an explanation, and she begins with absolute, adorable seriousness. Pointing at the drawing, she says she could not wait any longer. So she left with him. If her sister ever returns, she can follow them right away. Their target is little Hanmo. After listening, he stares at the drawing again. He feels completely lost. Seriously, only a divine being could decipher this. He shakes it off. He never truly believed her sister would return anyway. The brutal truth is that if she could have returned, she would be back. He is doing this just to keep her hope alive. That has to be it. The girl holds up her drawing happily. Surely her sister will understand. He instructs her to take it down, place it in the wooden box, and bury it in the old camp shelter later. She runs off cheerfully to fetch it. He is half tempted to keep it himself as a piece of embarrassing history. Inside the crumbling camp shed, Mina holds the wooden box tightly. She worries that someone will dig it up if they leave it buried here. He looks around the dilapidated ruins and assures her that will not happen. There are too many abandoned houses here for anyone to care about this one. The only one who would search this place thoroughly is her sister. His special forces training taught him that people looking for family search everywhere. They desperately search for any clue, making this the ultimate spot for a trap. This is a perfect spot to bait an enemy. She nods hesitantly, watching him. He stomps his foot, raising an earth spike that shatters to dig a hole. She places the box inside. He promises to ensure her sister finds the drawings. A thin strand of spider silk shoots from his finger, wrapping around the box. He ties the other end to a stone and tells her to cover the hole. She obediently does. He then uses his combat knife to carve a rabbit girl. Mina asks what he is doing, and he explains it is a lure for her sister. Placing the carving face up in the center, he hears her speak up. She asks, clearly bewildered, if her sister will truly find the drawings this way. He assures her she will. If her sister returns, she cannot miss this. If she spots a stone that looks like her sister carved it, she will surely pick it up. Tied to the resilient spider silk, it leads her straight to the buried box. Don't blame him for having so many tricks, it is just a professional habit. If this were an enemy base, what is buried under? That stone would be a bomb. Is that it? She asks, eyeing the stone, which is carved better than her own drawings, half wanting to take it with her. Trust him, he says, patting her shoulder, then steps out to catch a message from Little Red on the roof. The scouts tracking the camp's people are already dealt with, the spider's silk and venom doing the work. Time to track those bandit scouts, he tells her, leading the way to the turtle. The camp's business is done, and the rest is left to fate. The two of them and one spider ride toward Bloodbeard's base with little Try relaying directions so they never lose the trail. In the living room of the house, the two of them tinker with their things. Mina is fitting the old shed door onto her room's frame, but her movements are distracted, as if she has something to say but hesitates. Jinwoo is picking out wood for a table, and seeing her face, he speaks up a little irritably. If she has something on her mind, she should just speak up. She asks weakly whether they set out too late, afraid that because of her, his plan might run into trouble. He tells her no, explaining that he set out late on purpose. Rushing over too early would mean Bloodbeard's men had not yet left their base, while arriving later is perfect for avoiding a head-on clash. She relaxes completely and finishes hanging the door, then asks whether his room is tidied. He tells her there is not much to tidy. The two of them have nothing but 4 bare walls, without a single table, chair, or wardrobe. Her bed is still just old planks, everything built from scratch. Then, what should she do? She asks, lost. He looks up at her dirty face, dusty hair, and animal skin clothes so filthy their original color is gone, then down at himself, which is not much better, telling her they are short on water. Now he realizes they are short on water. She huffs, hand on hip, reminding him she said to save it, and he tells her flatly that he means they are short on water for bathing. Her eyes go wide as she snaps that they barely have enough to drink. So, where would bathing water come from? He asks when she last bathed, 17 days ago. She says, cheeks reddening, when it rained acid once, and she ran out into it too. Wash. When he raises an eyebrow and calls her bold, she shouts in embarrassment that she washed with her clothes on. He drops the teasing, saying he will have to build something to store rain water, since he does not know when the next rain comes, but preparing cannot hurt. Acid rain cannot be drunk, she warns, grabbing his arm, telling him a hunting team man drank it back at the camp and went mad, hacking at people with a knife. Do not worry, he soothes. He is not using it to drink, though he will filter it and test it on an animal first. Then what is it for? She asks, stunned, and he explains as if obvious. For bathing. He asks whether she cannot smell the sour stench on herself. She insists she is not smelly and storms into her room, and through the door he hears her muttering that she has smelled herself, and it is clearly not bad at all. Then a sniff, a choke, a string of coughing, then a wail of pure. She is in disbelief. How can she smell so bad? Night falls, and the rock armor turtle stops too. Rest. Mu Liang knocks on her door, calling her to dinner, but she shyly answers that he should eat first, claiming she has no appetite, loud enough for her to hear. He jokes that a 14-year-old girl cannot possibly be in her rebellious phase already. A thin bedroom door made from a shed door has exactly the soundproofing you would expect. Bang, the door yanks open instantly and she stands there with flushed cheeks, glaring blue eyes, and hands on hips, declaring she is absolutely not rebellious. Right, not rebellious, he says, suddenly feeling like a father raising a daughter. He gently flicks her forehead, telling her to eat. Mina's eyes go wide as she takes in the newly transformed hall, where a tall square table and 4 benches now sit, with a steel pot in the middle. Bowls and chopsticks set facing each other. She sits down blankly, stroking the smooth tabletop, asking if he really made all of this in one afternoon. Serving her some soup, he explains he made them while building a large bathtub. A bathtub too, she gasps. He points over to the half-person high tub in the corner, since storing water and bathing both call for one. She runs over. How much does it hold? It fits at least 10 of someone her size, he says, but they have no water to fill it, she sighs. He promises It will be fine once it rains. If not, Bloodbeard's base will surely have a water source since any decent base requires one. Still, she frets that she does not know when rain will come. The smell on her body is ruining her appetite for her favorite soup. He urges her to finish quickly because he has a gift for her. She wolves it down. Under 10 minutes, she even licks her lips, blinking with twitching ears, looking exactly like a little girl waiting for her father to give her candy. He takes out a drawing board, handing her a painting titled Hometown, warning her not to touch the surface or she will smudge the charcoal. She turns it over, and at first sight, her eyes go wide as her mouth forms a small circle. This familiar scene strikes her deep. It is too beautiful, she says, her nose stinging as her vision blurs. He gently tells her the piece is called Hometown. Standing up, he pats her head to give her space, stepping out into the courtyard so dark he cannot see his own hand. Standing there, he reflects on how he transmigrated here and got lucky enough to meet a kind girl who saved him from being robbed of everything and left as a wilderness corpse, and how she trusted someone like him after just a week, choosing to leave with him. Honestly, all he can do is protect her precious memories. But peace never lasts long. A high wolf howl suddenly tears through the night, string of white dots flickering in the distance like beads sliding across a black curtain. Then Mina's anxious voice calls him in. She waves hard at the door, and when he steps over to see her reddened eyes, she pulls him inside, shutting the door and rakes most of the wood out of the fire until only a tiny flame is left. Is it the howling? He asks gently, and she sniffles that they are fierce beast moonwolves, a highly dangerous pack. Just a moment ago, a drawing moved her to tears, and now the wolves have her terrified. Did she forget? He asks, amused that they have a fierce beast of their own. The rock-armored turtle lets out a warning roar. A moonwolf answers from far off, and the howls grow distant. As the wolf pack pulls away, Mina finally relaxes. They are gone, she whispers. Slowly, her droopy ears stand tall again. He explains that they left for now. He roughly understands the turtle's roars. It warned the wolves off. The beasts refuse to be cowed, barking back in anger. Good, she says, relieved. She quickly builds the fire back up. Suddenly, she pales. Where is her drawing? Relief washes over her as she spots the precious paper safe on the table. Since she had dropped everything to run to him, he suggests hanging it on the wall. She holds it out, completely lost. He gently takes the paper to help her mount it. Seeing her treasure it so deeply is somehow quite pleasant. A sudden thunderclap explodes. The sky was completely clear. Mina jerks awake from her deep, peaceful daze. A blinding flash of light passes the window. A heavy, muffled roar follows right after. Is it thundering? She scrambles up to the window, standing tall on her tiptoes. Outside, the dim dawn light is completely swallowed up by massive, rolling black clouds. Standing there makes her feel tiny. Nature is truly magnificent. A whole night is gone. She murmurs with a soft smile, turning her head to gaze at the finished drawing. It feels incredible every single time she looks. She is completely mesmerized. She had puzzled over the piece all night. How was this even made? She quickly covers her face, mortified again by her own terrible painting from yesterday. Another roll of thunder snaps her out of it. She takes a final look. Stepping out, she smells firewood. The hall is warm, but nobody is inside. She heads straight for the courtyard. There he is, hard at work already. She asks what he is doing. He explains he is preparing for the rain. The turtle is helping him slope the ground to direct the water into tubs. She immediately rolls up her sleeves, eager to help. What is my job? He tells her to cook breakfast. Also, prepare some extra charcoal for later. Looking up at the dark clouds, he recalls the message from Little Try. Bloodbeard has already set out. By his estimation, they will meet around noon. So collecting as much rainwater as possible is their absolute highest priority. He tracks down some excellent wood and gets to building more large tubs. This is not hard work. He packs the gaps with thick spider silk. Pressing the planks tightly ensures no leaks. Each tub takes over 1 hour. He finishes 3 of them, stopping for breakfast in between. The thunder continues. Right around noon, the storm breaks. It turns into a stinging, heavy downpour. The turtle refuses to travel. It stops beside a hill and pulls inside. It pulls its head and heavy limbs deep into its shell, resting quietly. What do we do now? Mina asks, staring outside, looking pretty tempted. She wants to bathe in the rain, forgetting her previous embarrassing smell. He stares at her in disbelief. Is she really bathing with clothes on? The heavy sheet of rainwater falling in the courtyard is perfect for it. Confused, she asks how else she would do it. Go to the bathroom. He tells her he will remove the bathroom roof so she gets clean. Keeping those filthy clothes on is pointless. Her cheeks flush red instantly. He splits the wooden roof apart using his abilities to let water in. He warns her not to take too long. She rushes in, totally red-faced. He sighs, rubbing his head. Who knew simple bathing could be this difficult? He shakes his wet hair, looks around, strips off his shirt, and steps into the rain himself. 10 minutes later, he is back in the hall in his dripping, rain-washed clothes, building the fire and starting the soup, scratching his head at how much trouble it is to have no change of clothes. Then he remembers the 5 rolls of cloth and cuts a 3-meter length, folds it in half, and cuts a head hole in the center. Line no needle and thread, but spider silk should do, so after folding it, he leaves 2 openings at the shoulders for arms and runs his fingers down the 2 sides, the silk piercing the fabric and sewing them shut into a sleeveless crewneck robe. Mina comes in shivering and drawing sharp breaths, having bathed over half an hour this time, and stares at the strange robe in his hands. Come. Change quickly, he tells her, holding it out for her to take into her room, and when she asks how to wear it, he tells her to put her head through the middle and her arms through the sides, gently pushing her in. Catching a cold now would be dangerous, since in this wasteland there is no medicine of any kind, Western or otherwise, and a person has only their own immune system to survive on. He needs to make another robe, he tells himself, shaking his head because while he is not cold, wet clothes clinging to him are unpleasant. Mina shuffles out after changing, finding the robe loose and airy, and says with a red face that it is so strange. It is quite pretty, he says, and then he is genuinely stunned. Because the once filthy girl, washed clean, has fair skin, a delicate, heart-shaped face, and large blue eyes with waist-length aqua blue hair and blue rabbit ears that make her look as gentle as water. Talk about an absolute glow-up. He never expected a single bath to transform her so completely, looking so striking at her age. Sit and have some hot soup to warm up, he tells her, not wanting her to catch cold, which would be the worst kind of trouble. She flushes and ladles out 2 bowls, telling him to drink too. He waves her off and tells her to drink first, saying he is almost done with this garment. Find shelter from the rain, Bloodbeard orders, wiping the cold water from his face, telling his men coldly that no one drinks the rainwater, that anyone who catches the madness should not blame his blade. The thieves around him answer with a respectful shout. Bloodbeard lives up to his name, his chin and cheeks buried under a long blood-red beard that hides his neck. Even his hair is blood-red. Standing 1 9/10 meters tall, the size of 2 ordinary men combined. For all his bulk, his mind is meticulous, but his temper is foul, and anyone who rouses his anger, he brutalizes to death himself. He orders the scouts out and tells the men to watch for fierce beasts. Soon, they find a concave rock wall on the ridge that shields them from the downpour. The more than 200 of them squeeze under it to wait out the storm. Night Jackal pats his chest and offers to take some men and wipe out the small camp himself, sparing the boss the trouble. The raw confidence of one of the 4 main leaders and a jackal mutant. Some things are not as simple as they seem, Bloodbeard says, stroking his beard, his eyes full of calculation. Of course, a small camp needs no personal attention. He trusts almost no one among his men, and not one of the 4 main leaders, especially wary of letting any of them lead a team out alone, afraid they will defect the way it happened once before, when over 400, nearly 1,000 of his men were lured away. Since that day, he personally leads every raid. Over 200. Is someone strong lurking in that camp? Nightjackal wonders, licking his lips. He completely craves a good slaughter. Bloodbeard indifferently notes their leader has some real skill. Leave that little leader to me, Nightjackal yells, and Bloodbeard waves him off. Play with your food if you like, the boss shrugs. He only wants the strong fighters, absorb them to replenish his ranks. That is how his crew grew. Loyalty, he never cared, as long as he controls the water and food, his men must obey. Suddenly, a terrified bandit screams in panic about a fierce beast. Bloodbeard strides over, grabbing the terrified man by the collar, demanding where. The bandit points, and Bloodbeard looks up to see a massive red ghost-faced spider hanging 10 meters up. Why panic? It is just a bug, Nightjackal sneers, grabbing a stone to knock it down. But Bloodbeard suddenly grabs his wrist, narrowing his eyes at the red ghost-faced spider. He shakes his head, warning him coldly that this beast is strange. Avoid provoking it. In the wild, never disturb mysterious creatures unless necessary. lest you trigger an entire nest of trouble. Strange, Nightjackal echoes, looking up, only to find the creepy ghost-faced spider already gone. Suddenly, he cannot stop a cold shiver. It really is strange. Meanwhile, on the other side of the ridge, a sudden message from Little Red reaches him, causing him to freeze completely in surprise. Seconds before it registers, Bloodbeard's crew is on the far side of the exact ridge he is sitting on right now. What an insane coincidence, he says. Utterly surprised, he calculated they would miss each other by noon, never expecting them to end up this close. What is a coincidence, Mina asks, looking up. He points, explaining that Bloodbeard is right on the other side of the ridge. Will they find us, she asks, her brows knitting. He shakes his head, unconcerned. In this heavy rain, they have no reason to wander around here. Are you really going to steal from Bloodbeard, she asks, pursing her lips. Worried for him, she softly advises that it is far too dangerous and maybe he should stay. Don't worry, he says. He can turn invisible and his figure slowly fades away. Her eyes go wide and she jumps up, reaching out toward where he vanished, only for her small hand to be caught in his. He asks softly if she is reassured now. Can you take me along, she asks, blinking. He gently flicks her forehead and tells her no, she must stay home. He can protect himself, but bringing her is too dangerous. She claims she can help carry things, flexing her arm to show how strong she is. He reaches out and pinches it, finding it soft and squishy, telling her she is hardly helping. She yelps, tugging on his arm and acting spoiled. He stays unmoved, explaining that if she tags along, nobody will be around to guard the house or back him up. Plus, powerful bandits might climb up here. She quickly argues that little Honu is here, but he taps her nose, telling her gently that he will feel much safer if she guards the base. If the giant turtle cannot stop the bandits, it will seal the entire house with its rock armor, keeping all outsiders out. Fine, she pouts. She will guard the house, finally understanding she should not keep pestering him. He warns her that staying idle will get annoying, so he finds her a task. This keeps her from overthinking. She needs to sew clothes, but asks how, her ears twitching. Her ears bunch up since she has never sewn, her past clothes all made by her sister back when she was 10. He tells her to first measure her body and then mark the dimensions on the fabric, pulling over his drying camouflage suit as a reference to explain. He tells her to draw it wider so they can make a dress too, but she pouts, calling it a waste. He turns the suit over to show her that she must sew clothes inside out to hide the stitching, adding that she also needs to sew some underwear. He tells her not to ask why, but they are absolutely essential, leaving her speechless. He offers to handle the drawing, letting her follow the patterns and do the sewing, even though he only half understands the process of garment making himself. Still, with real clothes to copy, he grasps the gist, but sewing needs a needle, so with rain and time to spare, he decides to grind a bone needle. For thread, some spider silk serves perfectly. The storm lasts for more than an hour before stopping. By the time the rock armor turtle reaches the vicinity of Bloodbeard's base, it is already evening, and dinner passes in complete silence. He pulls on his dried camouflage uniform, hangs a military knife at his waist, and slings the waterproof bag over his back. Mina watches him with a worried look on her face. He tells her that no matter who comes while he is gone, she must not open the door. She weakly asks what to do if he sends the three-colored lizard back with supplies, the memories of the camp flickering behind her eyes. After a moment, he taps out a signal on the table, one long knock and two short, telling her that is their secret code. She nods hard, repeating the rhythm so she does not forget. He warns her he will be back late, gently tugging her rabbit ears, telling her to sleep if she gets tired. She blushes and speaks in a voice growing softer and softer, saying she will wait up before she dares to sleep. What she really fears is a thief spotting little Hyanmu and climbing up to rob them, though let's be honest, he completely misses that second part anyway. She calls out for him to be careful, and he waves back, telling her to wait for the goods before dropping down from the rock armor turtle to the ground. Faint lights in the distance mark Bloodbeard's headquarters, and the sky will be pitch black by the time he arrives. Little Red scouts ahead, sweeping the path for patrolling thieves. The march is dull and tedious, showing nothing but desolate rock and sand, with the rain leaving the muddy ground sticky underfoot. By the time the sky goes completely dark, he reaches the outskirts of Bloodbeard's base where thieves drift past with torches every so often. Suddenly, a pebble flies out of the dark, landing near his feet. His intuition senses no danger, so he does not bothered to dodge, simply staring at the patch of darkness it came from. A figure in a black hooded cloak approaches, apologizing in a cold female voice. Saying she only meant to warn him, he asks who she is and what she wants, lifting his eyes just enough to glance subtly at little Red behind her. In truth, she has no idea that his red ghost spider already has her targeted, meaning one wrong move would turn her into a cocoon. She asks if he is a bounty hunter taking on the Wulho tribe's mission, but he tells her flatly that he does not feel like answering before turning back toward the base. She quickly suggests they team up, but he coldly refuses, stating he never works with partners. People who hide their faces. She steps closer, claiming she has a map of the area. That stops him in his tracks. Intrigued, he asks why she even needs his help. Because you are strong, she replies simply. He points out she does not even know him. He could easily be one of the bandits, but she insists he is no thief. Her tone turns smug, pointing out that dirty outlaws never dress as cleanly as him. So she is judging his power by his clean clothes. He dryly reminds her it rained today. She airily counters that anyone traveling alone through a rain-soaked wilderness must be powerful. It is flawed logic, but it holds a grain of truth. She seems incredibly confident. She promises that even with Bloodbeard gone, breaking in is nearly impossible. But if they work together, he will walk away with Bloodbeard's rare crystal fish. When he asks what a crystal fish is, she sounds completely shocked. How could a hunter taking the Wulho tribe mission not know about the legendary treasure? She assumes he was aiming for the treasure vault. He merely shrugs. So Bloodbeard has a secret vault, and he is not the only one hunting it. Talk about an absolute win. Now she mutters that he is incredibly cunning. He takes it as a compliment. She has been probing him this entire time. Yet she has learned absolutely nothing. He tells her to show some real sincerity first. He glances pointedly at her hood. In a low voice, she warns he will be frightened. He calmly replies that he can only judge that after actually seeing her face first. Instead of revealing herself, she describes the layout. The base is a half-moon valley. It is formed by 3 hills in a crescent, with the middle one tallest. Standing at 150 meters, he asks why she is sharing this. She says basic daytime scouting would reveal it anyway, so consider it an apology. She then turns and vanishes into the darkness. Is her hidden face truly that horrific? He highly doubts she was being kind. She likely plans to tail him inside, or slip through after he causes a scene. Unfortunately, she is going to be disappointed. He laughs quietly under his breath and turns toward the base, melting into the night. A short while later, she returns to the exact same spot, searching the ground. Shocked, she wonders how he vanished so fast and where his footprints went. Just as he guessed, she absolutely intended to follow him. Her cold voice carries anxiety. Her voice holds a mix of anxiety and a thin threat of anticipation. She mutters that a truly formidable man has arrived in their territory. Perhaps he can actually break into Bloodbeard's vault. She begins creeping toward the base. Meanwhile, he moves through rocky shadows, using sticky spider silk to leap. He swings from boulder to boulder, switching to mimicry stealth in wide-open areas. This lets him scout the entire layout. The structure of this place surprises him. To reach the central hill, one must climb the outer hills first, then cross. They have to cross a suspension bridge. Bloodbeard built his fortress inside that middle peak. By his count, a single gate is heavily guarded by 20 men with frequent patrols. Security here is incredibly tight. He could easily sneak past them using mimicry stealth. But he would still need someone to open the gate, so change of plan. He will scale the cliffside from the outside, climbing straight up the central peak. Using only his bare hands, slipping through side entrances introduces too many unknown checkpoints. He simply does not have any time to waste, not when nobody expects this. Who knows if Bloodbeard might come tearing back? He sneaks to the foot of the central hill and spots several hidden sentries. This bandit leader is extremely cautious. With Little Red's help, he takes them down in a few quiet minutes, then summons his porter, calling Little Tri to meet up since the hauling falls to the tricolor lizard. Sure enough, a few minutes later, the beast crawls out of the shadows and rubs against his palm, promising to give the beast one evolution. Point to eat, urging him to work hard later. The lizard tilts his head, confused. He sprays spider silk from his palm, sticks it to the rock wall, and starts climbing with the 2 beasts following right behind. 150 meters is over 30 stories, though. It is not hard. A few jutting ledges give him trouble, and the closer he Gets to the summit, the slower he moves, terrified that any tiny sound will betray him. He reaches the top and realizes something is not right. A massive wooden dome sits up. Here, glowing from the firelight leaking through its gaps. What is it even for? Could this be Bloodbeard's quarters, or maybe his secret treasure vault? It seems highly possible. He looks for an opening, knowing that smashing or prying it open is foolish. Trolling the edge, he only finds incredibly thin gaps, just as he is about to climb on top to investigate. A faint argument drifts up from inside. One voice claims his father is out, so he is in charge now. Another refuses, arguing that no one enters without the boss's orders. The first demands they move aside. He only wants water, and the guard, calling him the little boss Bloodknife, begs him not to cause trouble, knowing the terrifying temper of their boss. The young heir snaps back, furious at being compared to his father. A sudden burst of hounding and cursing erupts, then complete silence. So this is Bloodbeard's son. If the leader will not even let his own kid inside, imagine what is hidden in there. He attaches a strand of silk, climbs nimbly onto the dome, and finds a gap, a long opening of 10 meters and 10 inches wide, just enough for a person to squeeze through. Moving carefully, he sends Little Red down first to scout. After a short while, hearing absolutely no sound, he slowly lowers himself inside. The space is absolutely enormous, the hilltop completely hollowed out into one massive chamber. The dome is just a cap. He lands softly, and beneath his feet is a square wooden hatch opening upward, the very door where that argument came from. He backs away, gauging the height at 10 meters, then looks back and spots heavy brackets, massive gears, and ropes near the gap. No way, this dome is a retractable cover, which is exactly how that 10-meter gap opened up. This bandit leader really has some clever ideas. The space is divided into sections, and the one that catches his eye is a patch of green. 9 days in this desolate wasteland. Apocalypse, and he is finally seeing living plants. A dozen or so grow in the soil, and that retractable dome was clearly built to protect this patch of green. Few look like cabbage, so he kneels, pinches a leaf, and smells it. It really is cabbage. Standing up, he crosses to a wooden rack hung with familiar green and red fruits, grinning because there are even tomatoes. Bloodbeard is turning out to be his lucky charm. There's even a Starshin tea tree in the corner, though a few others are completely unrecognizable. It is strange for Bloodbeard to just leave the dying plants alone instead of eating them, unless they are incredibly precious. He would never dare touch them. He asks the system in his mind whether evolution. The system confirms it. Evolution points can actually domesticate wild plants. That means he can just dig them all up during this long night. First, he needs those beast crystals to upgrade his tricolor lizard and red ghost spider. One more evolution, and hauling all this loot becomes a breeze. He finds a locked door. He pushes the door open, and folks, that massive bed means he just found Bloodbeard's room. Inside the nightstand drawer sits a bulging bag stuffed with beast crystals. Bandit leaders really are too confident, leaving treasures scattered around like trash. Then again, who would expect a thief to scale the outer mountain cliffs? He reaches inside. He commands the system to absorb the entire haul, triggering an instant energy conversion. Success, he just gained 3,866 evolution points. A sudden windfall of over 3,800 points means this risky raid has fully paid off. He searches the room again, uncovering a box of plant seeds and sparkling gemstones. The seeds are sorted into 8 small bags, which he quickly packs away for safekeeping. His future plans rely on these, while the pretty gems will make a fine gift for Mina. He pockets them and checks the wardrobe, finding fine clothes and rolls of silk. He spreads out 15 rolls of colorful fabric on the table, wondering why bandits hoard these. Since they are not wearing them, he decides to claim the clothes for himself. Next to the fabric, he uncovers a dozen swords, curved sabers, and iron spears. He grabs the weapons. Even cheap blades can be melted down into useful iron pots. Out of habit, he taps the stone walls until one spot rings hollow, a hidden door. The real treasure must be hidden inside. He locates the trigger and slips right through. Beyond lies a quiet study with a simple desk. Animal hides are scattered across it. Each hide is covered in detailed botanical sketches and bizarre written symbols. He is stunned by the pictographs. Is this actual oracle bone script? Ancient characters on old leather. Just how old is this mysterious fantasy world? And why would modern cabbage and tomato seeds turn up in a place like this? Is this a parallel world? There are too many questions, so he packs the hides. He will decipher them later. At least he finally has a guide to their language. The secret vault has 3 rooms. He slips into the second, which is also unlocked. Bloodbeard's arrogance works in his favor. Inside, he finds a massive storage room. Rows of wooden barrels line the walls. He shakes one, hearing the slosh of fresh water. Right in the center stands a massive barrel, towering over the other smaller ones. Could this huge one contain water as well? He removes the heavy stones on top. He pries open a tiny crack, careful not to flood the room. Liquid bursts out. A glowing, crystal-clear creature darts out. Reacting instantly, he shoots sticky spider silk. The threads wrap around the thrashing beast, spraying freezing water all over the floor. Could this be the legendary crystal fish that mysterious woman was talking about? It looks just like an exotic earth arowana, completely transparent. Its bones are dark and glassy. He silently wonders how it would taste. Sensing mortal danger, the beautiful fish thrashes wildly, conjuring a protective water barrier. A floating sphere of liquid wraps around it completely, defying all gravity. Talk about a biological cheat code. This creature is Bloodbeard's entire water supply. This single creature keeps an entire bandit army alive in the dry wasteland. He yanks the silk, but the liquid sphere only wobbles without popping. No wonder a 10,000-strong tribe offered a massive fortune to steal this thing. In a harsh wasteland where water is incredibly scarce, this crystal fish is a genuine prize. A total treasure, a miracle that keeps people alive. He finds a small barrel, stuffing the fish inside before tucking it under his arm. Pushing open the third door, he finds it. Packed with enough jerky to feed 1,000 men for an entire month. Bloodbeard is filthy rich. No wonder he kept 500 bandits in line. Jinwoo feels more sure that raiding this vault was the right call. But how is he going to haul everything out, though? The gap in the dome is too small. Looking up, he can see little Try stuck up top, unable to squeeze through a 10-inch slot opening. The dome will make way too much noise. Then it hits him. Who cares if they discover him? He is not leaving through the main gate anyway. He can just block it off. Quiet theft, impossible, so going loud is much more fun anyway. He has 3,800 evolution points. Time to get these 2 to level 4 first. He summons Little Red and commands the system to evolve the red ghost spider to level 4. The system confirms the level 3 beast is now advancing to level 4, deducting 1,000 points. The evolution is successful, meaning the talent evolved into 100 silk manipulation, and the tamers own 100. Silk manipulation skill is now synchronizing at level 4, a sudden warm current surges right through him, clean and powerful, before he can even process it. A grinding, scraping noise echoes from the dome. Little Try is forcing himself through that tight 10-inch gap, claws digging into the stone ceiling. Jinwoo glances at the scraped-off scales, rolling his eyes and telling the lizard he is really going all out. Next, he orders the system to evolve the tricolor lizard to level 4, and it responds similarly, level 3 to 4, 1,000 evolution points deducted. Evolution successful. The talent evolves into mimicry scale hardening, the tamers. Skill deploying at level 4. That power surge hits him again, and he narrows his eyes. Savoring the intense, hard-won sensation before it fades, he opens his system screen to check his attributes. Tamer Kang Jinwoo, Stamina 34, Speed 33.6, Strength 34.4. Spirit 45, Lifespan 24 years out of 560, Taming points 10, and Daily Evolution points 1972. His skills red. Mimicry scale hardening at level 4, 100 silk manipulation at level 4, and earth. Rock burst impale at level 3 against a normal human baseline of 1. His beast list shows the tricolor lizard and red ghost spider at level 4, plus the rock armor turtle at level 3. His overall strength has jumped. His lifespan now reaches 560 years, but the biggest shocker is having 2 skills evolved. Little Try happily licks his palm, making him jump and smack the beast on the head. The tricolor lizard has grown to 4 meters, every pyramid scale now, carrying 3 distinct colors, making his entire body look incredibly bright and vivid. Not to be outdone, Little Red runs up to rub against him. Jinwoo pats his head, noting the spider has even learned to seek affection. The level 4 red ghost spider has reached 2 meters, its ghost face pattern looking fiercer than ever. Its 8 legs are now blood red and sharp as spears, deadly enough to kill in one stab. He sends the 2 off to master their upgraded skills before testing his own, finding that evolution does not take away old traits. Instead, it strengthens them and grows new ones. On top, the lizard's mimicry scale hardening skill still grants perfect invisibility, and once that invisibility drops, the beast can harden its scales instantly to strike back. Meanwhile, his spider can now control 100 strands at once. It is a massive upgrade. This will be handy for packing. Next, he activates his scale hardening skill and his entire arm gets covered in 3-colored patterns, looking just like an electronic circuit. It looks incredibly cool. He sets down the wooden barrel holding the crystal. Fish then taps his forearms together. They ring out like stone colliding with metal. His hardened skin now boasts a defense, rating somewhere between rock and steel. Though his fingers feel slightly stiff, it does not stop him from digging up soil. He carefully digs up the plants, transplants them into wooden buckets, and seals the lids. He uses spider silk, effortlessly controlling several strands. Then he calls Little Try over. He ties the buckets one by one onto both sides of the beast's back, realizing he can easily fit another row, that is 8 barrels, with a third layer stacked on top. Like a pyramid, Little Try shifts and hisses, so he tells the creature to hold still. The job will be done soon. He adds a third row, totaling 12 barrels in all. Little Try gives him a flat look. Still, he is thrilled with his packing masterpiece. Except for the tomatoes, everything is boxed. The tomato vines are far too brittle, and transplanting them would be fatal, but that does not mean they cannot be packed. He sends his thoughts directly to Little Red, instructing the spider to wrap up the tomato vines into a cocoon. Little Red immediately begins spitting out silk, using his 100 silk manipulation to bind the vines into a white cocoon within 10 minutes. Excellent work. Next, he needs to open the dome to clear a path for Little Try, but first, he must block the main door. He slides heavy stones against the ground hatch until it is sealed. The rocks land softly, but just loud enough for the guards outside. One guard asks if the other heard a noise, and his partner confirms he did. A third points out that nobody should be inside, while a fourth wonders if someone snuck in to steal. Another guard scoffs, pointing out they have been watching the entrance the whole time. One sighs, wishing they had the key, but another warns him sharply. The last person who looked inside out of curiosity was brutally slaughtered by the boss. In the end, they drop it since entry is impossible anyway. They will not even try the door. Honestly, he expected slightly more from them. He finds a metal spear, approaches the dome's edge, and pries the boards open with full force. Talk about making a scene. Even these oblivious guards realize something is wrong now. One guard swears that an intruder has snuck inside, while another yells to notify young Master Blood Knife immediately that the boss's cultivation room has been breached. He completely ignores them and tears open a 3-meter-wide gap, gently patting Little Try's head. He instructs the beast to take this load home and return quickly. The beast takes the 12 barrels and slips out through the gap, turning completely invisible as his claws grip the rock during his descent. Meanwhile, he continues packing his gear, wrapping up dried meat with strong spider silk because one can never have enough food. Luckily, water is no issue with his handy crystal fish. Next, he summons Little Red, ordering the spider to move some dried meat down and hide it somewhere safe. The clever spider carries the load to the cliff edge, utilizing his 100 silk technique to gently lower the bundles before crawling down himself. Suddenly, Bloodbeard's son, Blood Knife, arrives outside the hatch. He furiously snarls at his men, demanding to know why they are standing around. He orders them to break down the door immediately. The eager guards begin hammering away, but he merely glances at the door, completely unbothered. Stones tremble as they try to break through a barricade piled a person high. First, they must smash the door, then clear out the heavy rocks. That takes 3 hours, and he even lashed the rocks with spider silk. Getting pretty hungry, he breaks up a few tables to start a fire. He sets the meat over the flames, letting the rich scent drift everywhere. Outside, the exhausted men hammering at the door suddenly freeze at the smell. Their expressions twist in disbelief. Honestly, the nerve of this guy is unreal. Instead of running after the heist, he is cooking. Blood Knife is livid. He screams, promising a barrel of water to whoever breaks in first. His frantic screaming echoes endlessly. He is completely losing his mind. No one roasts meat during a raid, once his explosive tantrum burns out. He coldly organizes his defense, ordering men to guard the suspension bridge. Nobody is allowed to cross, since the intruder must use it to escape. Guarding the path between the hills is crucial. Torches light up the darkness. Guard units block the bridges. Meanwhile, the hooded woman slips into the valley. Huddled behind a massive rock, she spots the flickering lights of the guards. They line the suspension bridges, leading her to suspect that clean guy got caught. She watches from the shadows, wondering if he was actually discovered. A lack of movement leaves her totally puzzled, unsure if he made it. With the entire camp fully alert, security is only going to get tighter. Sneaking in later will be almost impossible, and her time is running out. In total dismay, she suddenly spots glowing white strands swaying nearby. She creeps closer, then quickly slaps a hand over her mouth in shock. Staring ahead, she spots a massive 2-meter spider dragging several thick cocoons. She never expected to find such a terrifying beast lurking in this valley. Looking at the cocoons on the hill, she wonders if people are inside. Once the giant red ghost spider gathers the cocoons, it prepares to leave. It hoists them onto its back, trailing the monster would surely expose her. Forcing herself to stay put, her gaze drifts to the fluttering silk. Staring at the webs, a wild, crazy thought strikes her. She could use that tough silk to reach Bloodbeard's secret treasure vault. The risk of the beast catching her halfway is terrifying, but it is her only shot. Steeling her resolve, she prepares to climb. She has never feared death anyway. With a quick running start, she leaps off the wall and grabs the silk. Pulling herself up, she scales the cliff with surprising, effortless grace. Climbing behind the hill, she is completely blind to the bridge, though she can hear them. Their voices drift over, complaining about the incredibly bold intruder. One guard strictly warns the others not to suggest it was one of their own. So that clean-looking guy actually infiltrated the group, but still got caught. A smug smile touches her face. He refused to work with her after all. Now he is trapped inside, while she gets to stroll into the vault. She is using the beast's own silk to walk right to her ultimate goal. After more than 10 tense minutes, she reaches the top and finds a giant, shattered gap. It looks completely smashed open. Suddenly, her nose twitches at the scent of roasting meat. Her mouth waters instantly. Camping outside this valley has left her absolutely starving. She has gone over 10 days without a decent meal. Could Bloodbeard's son, Blood, Knife be in there? She pulls a longbow and 3 arrows from her cloak, notches. One arrow draws back and slides sideways toward the gap, ready for a lethal shot. Planning to rush in, snatch the target, and run, she peeks inside and sees a familiar figure, that same clean-cut man, calmly roasting meat at his leisure. The sudden shock pulls a strangled sound out of her before she can stop it. How can it even be him? So you made it up here too, he greets her, raising a skewer end. Acting like she is an old friend, with his spirit this high, his perception is sharp. He caught her the moment she reached the top, wanting to wait before revealing his presence until she gave herself away. Her mouth twitches and she puts away the bow and steps through the gap, still incredulous, asking how he is here. And he asks the same thing right back. She realizes he also uses the spider's silk. Sighing that no wonder he refused to cooperate, then asking if that giant spider is his. As she can see, Little Red is his tamed beast, he tells her, and she turns to find the 2-meter ghost-faced spider blocking the gap. Behind her, she admits, completely dejected, that she took way too much for granted. Her eyes flick to the trembling pile of rocks where the furious bandits are sealed outside, roaring at each other to smash it down, and she nervously scans the room without daring to make a move, afraid of provoking the man and the beast in front of her. You are a step too late, he tells her, flipping the meat since he has already obtained the crystal fish. Do not worry, she replies, her target is not the crystal. Following his lead, now he is pretty curious about what she actually came for. Since out of everything here, that crystal fish is easily the most precious. Has he seen a pair of flowers with wings? She asks. That rare flower is the sole reason she came. He thinks of the plant that was about to wither and tells her calmly that there are winged flowers. She instantly steps forward, almost shouting, asking if she can see them, but he refuses without a second thought. She says urgently that the flower is incredibly important and she can trade for it. First of all, you lack sincerity, he tells her, glancing at her hood, asking if she would trade with someone who refuses to show her face. You would be frightened, she says, bitterly, afraid scaring him off would ruin the trade. Well, he will have to see for himself before deciding if she is telling the truth, he tells her, and she takes a step back, saying quite a few people have already been terrified of her, but he tells her if she is unwilling, it does not matter, and calmly starts eating his roast meat. A quiet moment passes, and whether she has finally made peace with it or been forced by the situation, she grits her teeth and asks if he will show her The flower if she lets him see her face. He promises that as long as she does, he will. Fine, she says hoarsely, hoping he keeps his word, and she pulls the hood back, revealing a head of long, snow-white hair. Honestly, it looks incredibly stunning on her. She snaps her head up, asking what about this, showing him an unbelievably pretty face with skin as white as jade, silver-white eyes, and a delicate nose. The only thing out of place is a small patch of crimson patterns on her right cheek, looking like a glowing electronic circuit diagram running down her neck and out of sight. His expression goes totally blank because the figure under the hood is unexpectedly beautiful. See, she says, she told him he would be frightened. Her face turns deathly pale at his dazed reaction, the typical look on anyone who sees the void ghost infection. She bites her lower lip, fighting the urge to pull her hood back up. Your patterns are only slightly less impressive than the mirror-colored ones, he says, snapping out of it, but they are still quite cool. She tilts her head, her gaze going vacant, clearly not following a word of his explanation. She asks if he is afraid of her. Why should he be? Because of the markings on her face. He blinks in surprise, and she hurries forward, insisting they are real. He stares intently, telling her he has to admit they are actually quite beautiful, even shimmering. Beautiful, she murmurs, her silver-white eyes dazed. This is the absolute first time anyone has called her void ghost infection beautiful. Her blank gaze sharpens on his dark eyes, searching for a lie. What she finds is a deep, completely genuine look, no deceit, no hidden disgust. She goes completely speechless, her chest filling with a warm feeling of acceptance. She wonders if his strength is so great that he simply does not care what the infection represents. He shifts uncomfortably under her stare, changing the subject. He tells her he doesn't even know her name yet. She introduces herself as Senora, pursing her lips before asking for his. He tells her his name is Kangjin Wu, briefly explaining its meaning. Can she see that winged flower, she asks, full of impatience. He tells her helplessly that he cannot show it for now. Her face darkens, rasping that he promised, but he rolls his eyes to soothe her, clarifying that he never said he would not show her. The flower is just no longer here. Then where is it? She asks urgently, and he explains that his tamed beast carried it home, tossing a table leg into the fire. So, if she really wants to see it, she has to come home with him. The flower was sent home, she repeats, going blank as she realizes his fierce spider beast at the foot of the hill hauled it off. She asks if his home is nearby. A base this close seems incredibly bold. He nods, and she says, with a strange look, that he is incredibly bold. Her doubts vanish, since a man living this close would know the base well enough to rob the treasure vault easily. He admits he is indeed bold, thinking of his 2 massive raids since coming to this world. Well, raid is the wrong word, more like relocating. Moving houses, basically. She smiles, saying Bloodbeard is truly unlucky to have met him. Scanning the wreckage, he asks if she wants some roast meat, holding up a skewer. Her mouth twitches at the sight of it, and she asks if he is planning to leave yet, once his tamed beast returns to move more things. They can leave. He explains this while checking his tricolor lizard's location. Already scaling the hill. Wait for it, she repeats, completely stunned while pointing at the red ghost spider hard at work, wrapping up those massive white cocoons, asking if it is not already moving them. That is not Little Red, he tells her, gesturing behind her. The main hauler is actually Little Try, since the spider only carries goods to the foot of the hill. Little Red, Little Try. She does not even have time to complain about the terrible names before she turns around, finding the colorful lizard right behind her. She jumps back, startled, crying out. No sound. He beckons Little Try over and ties 15 rolls of cloth onto his back, doubling his apparent size. For some reason, Mino feels a strange pity for the majestic tricolor lizard, a once fierce beast now reduced to working as a pack mule. To make things easier, Mu Liang widens the dome opening. Will Bloodbeard die of absolute anger when he returns? She quietly mutters, closely watching his crude demolition. He replies that the bandit chief will likely just faint, then shoulders his waterproof bag, firmly secures the small crystal fish barrel, and tightly lashes a bundle of swords across his lower back, telling her they are leaving. She agrees, eyeing his load and suddenly feeling she should not leave empty-handed. She jogs back to grab a water bucket and a bag of jerky. Not bad, he encourages, saying she is starting to copy his style. Her pretty face blushes red as she claims she only felt the trip would be a complete waste otherwise. That is exactly right, he reassures her, embarrassed by the praise. She then looks at everything loaded on him and the dozen cocoons the great spider is lowering. Next to his mountain of treasure, her small bag feels completely insignificant. Quietly slipping past the sleeping bandits, the two companions and their beasts, descend the dark hill, slip safely out of Crescent Valley, and closely follow the red ghost spider to the hidden stash. She comments on his massive haul. Clicking her tongue in amazement at the 20-odd cocoons, he replies with real regret that there was too little time. The room held enough food for 1,000 men for a whole month, but he only managed to secure 2,000 caddies. He asks her to help carry some items, offering shelter as payment. Mino rejects any payment, furrowing her white brows. She says coldly that she will carry cargo only in exchange for the flower when the time comes. She does not dare stay overnight with a man she barely knows, especially as an infected survivor. That is perfectly fine, he says, not forcing her at all. Instead, he stacks 2 more layers of cocoons onto Little Try until he looks like a moving mountain. The level 4 tricolor lizard easily carries over 500 caddies, so he ties a large tomato cocoon securely onto her back. She weighs it, saying coolly she can easily take another since she stands around 1.60 meters and can carry up to 600 caddies, but he declines. He adds 2 more cocoons to his own back, tucking 2 under his arms. Under her stunned gaze, the man and the beasts finally set off, each carrying cargo the size of their own bodies. She mutters that he is truly bizarre. Before jogging to catch up, in the pitch-black night the beasts guide them. Quietly walking in single file, he remains completely focused on their surroundings. In case any fierce beasts lie in wait, she hesitates to speak, opening her mouth several times in silence, while distant, unknown roars echo through the dark hills. They are finally home, he quietly announces at last. She blinks, asking where it is. Her silver-white eyes search the barren rocks, unable to spot even a cave. Just wait a moment, he says, sending a thought to the tortoise. To her complete and utter amazement, solid stone steps suddenly rise from the dusty ground. His home is right up there. He leads the way, leaving her blinking. Little Try hisses to urge her along, snapping her out of her shock. She quickly apologizes to the beast, before jogging up to where he waits at the top. He introduces the impressive building behind him as his house, then calls out. Jinwoo calls out loudly. He is back. Mina throws the door open, firelight spilling across the ground. She sprints toward him, asking with deep concern if he is hurt. He is doing great, Jinwoo gently tells her he is fine, letting her sigh in relief. She happily takes the cocoons from under his arms, chirping that Little Try returned back earlier to deliver things. She admits that if not for their secret knock, she would have been scared to death. Jinwoo laughs, noting that Little Try has gotten bigger and is amazing at moving things. Meanwhile, Senora starts to speak. Awkwardly watching the two of them head inside on their own, Jinwoo turns back at her voice with a sheepish smile and invites her to come in. She follows them in, relieved, but stops short when she sees the neat house. Everything is clean, with water boiling over the fire pit. Cozy rooms line both sides. The whole layout is warm. Seeing how cleanly Mina and Jinwoo are dressed, she looks down at her own filthy cloak, feeling far too self-conscious to stay. Jinwoo tells her to sit. She nods, her eyes drifting to 12 wooden barrels on the table. Then he tells Mina to help Senora untie the things on her back, giving the rabbiteer girl a gentle, awkward nudge, asking where her manners are. For a guest, Mina weakly agrees, casting a timid glance at the white-haired girl with blue eyes, bringing over a small knife within. Unnatural expression, her small feet shuffling slowly. These stiff movements catch Jinwoo by surprise, since he never expected Mina to be so shy around strangers. Senora quietly says she will do it herself, glancing at the rabbit ears on Mina's head with a flash of envy in her silver-white eyes. Seeing the rabbiteer girl's fearful expression, she lowers her head in deep self-deprecation, trying to hide her crimson patterns. The only person who never despised her void ghost infection was the strange Kang Jinwoo. He tells Mina to help Little Try and Little Red unpack their things, breaking the awkward tension, and she lets out a soft sigh of relief. Her movements are no longer stiff as she walks toward the beasts with the knife. Jinwoo draws his combat knife and cuts the silk on Senora's back, telling her gently not to mind Mina, who is just shy around strangers. She says she is fine with her head down and her voice muffled. He sees that Mina's unintentional behavior has clearly stung her sensitive, fragile heart. Both of them are such handfuls. Jinwoo tries to divert her, asking if she always wanted to see that winged flower. her head snaps up instantly, asking anxiously where it is. The flower is inside these wooden barrels, he tells her, pointing at the 12 on the table, though he is not sure which one holds it. She asks if she can open them, promising she will not touch anything else. Jinwoo waves her on with his immense strength. Why would he fear a little girl playing tricks? To him, she is just a kid desperately trying to act like a mature adult. He tells her to take her time, since he needs to help move their things inside. Otherwise, relying on Mina alone would keep them working until very late. When Mina sees him coming, her face goes completely blank at the massive loads they carry, and she asks weakly if he brought Bloodbeard's entire house here. He explains that he did not take everything, only less than 1/10. Hearing this, Mina happily taps her chin, saying even 1/10 will last them ages. Across the room, Senora unpacks while listening with a twitching mouth, complaining inwardly. She unpacks the barrels, listening with a twitching mouth and silently grumbling. They truly feel like a real family, hauling all of Bloodbeard's prized belongings. And still feeling like it is barely anything, he and Mina cut the binding silk off the beasts, carrying the cocoons of dried meat to one corner of the hall, and the cloth to another, and random items to a third, until the only walking space left is right around the table. This house is still too small, he mutters with a frown. Already planning to build a proper warehouse, Mina insists it is not small but just perfect right now, touching their new treasure contentedly like a greedy little hoarder, since a hall overflowing with goods is a happy sight to wake up to. Then something clatters against the floor with a sharp ring. He looks over to find the white-haired girl staring blankly at a barrel, her hands completely frozen with the lid on the floor. Everything is dead. The angel's wing is dead, Senora says, turning her head with a tremble, her silver-white eyes losing all light as they lock onto him, full of despair. Angel's wing, is that the name of the flower, he asks, stepping forward to look down at the nearly withered flower in the barrel, where he finds a pair of petals shaped like wings. No wonder it earned the name. He asks the grieving white-haired girl gently what she needs this flower for. Every 10 days, the angel's wing can condense a single drop of dew called angel's tears, she says, head lowered, a highly precious panacea that can cure many diseases. Do you believe in panaceas? He asks, setting aside whether such a thing even exists. The name alone invites suspicion. She insists it is true, having heard many people say so, raising her head as her silver-white eyes begin to mist. Looking pitiful while fighting back her tears, he asks if she wants to cure those crimson patterns on her face. She admits she is not sure it can fully cure it, but she hopes it can at least suppress the spread of the void ghost infection, her hand trembling as she grips the patterns on her cheek. She doesn't fully believe in miracles herself, but honestly, wouldn't you still try? What if it were true? She digs her fingers into her cheek, sobbing that there is no time left, and in another half a year, she will turn into a monster-like void ghost.